Yeah, we got Billy Carson in the house. Yeah,
Hey.
looking sharp.
People need to laugh. And so what y'all do is really important because laughter is like a healing process for the body.
I'm sure people have told you sound like Morgan Freeman.
Yeah, all the time.
Yeah,
If I had $1,
Tell our audience what you specialize in, who you are.
ancient civilizations, quantum physics, quantum mechanics, metaphysics, spirituality, inspiration and motivation, and health and wellness.
We need more black men like you. Man,
I appreciate
you are
it.
a man of many hats. Yeah. You believe in aliens, right?
Yeah. When you say aliens, a lot of people automatically, they default back to what they've seen in Hollywood on TV. You
Little
know?
green man.
Little green man with the antenna coming out their head, right? I do believe that the majority of aliens are like us. And how do I come to this conclusion? Reading ancient texts and tablets, papyruses, cylinder scrolls from all around the world. So this account of people, not little green man, but people coming to this planet goes back millions of years.
Was Jesus an alien in your estimation?
What's the definition of an alien? Not from this earth. So when the being says, I'm out of this earth, oh, you're an alien.
These pyramids, how old are these pyramids?
Oh man, they try to say they're only been 3,000 to 5,000 years old, but some of these pyramids, in my personal opinion, are tens of thousands of years old.
What was the whole purpose of those pyramids?
It's a multifunctional stone computer. It gave off energy. It was a power generator. Nikola Tesla did it in 1800s.
Right.
And when he died, the government came in and took all his documents. Cell phones and radios and satellites and all that comes from Nikola Tesla.
These aliens, they seeded the earth.
Yeah.
So we're all pretty much like aliens.
What makes a black person look different than an Asian, than a Caucasian, indigenous person, or an Indian person? There's a 2% variance in genetics. I think the difference in races is genetic branding.
I bet you all of them look like Elon Musk. What do you think about these lizard people?
The reptilians.
Yeah.
So look up the Ubaid culture. They were clearly reptilian people, and there were a lot of them.
What do you think about these people who think the earth is flat?
Oh man. So I have empathy for them. They just really need to study science.
Yeah, we got Billy Carson in the house. Yeah,
Hey.
looking sharp. Looking debonair. Looking distinguished. How you doing, Billy?
All right, man. It's an honor to be on y'all podcast. Like I told you earlier off air, my son, one of my sons turned me on to y'all over 10 years ago. And I just remember going and watch all your response videos and just laughing my ass off.
Oh, you talking about the ass call? Let's get a relationship.
That's crazy. Yeah, we died.
Yeah.
We used to just laugh, man. So, but people need to laugh. And so what y'all do is really important because laughter is like a healing process for the body. Right. And I appreciate it because sometimes, I was having some hard days and I just turn y'all on and just laugh, man.
We go look at these fools. Give it in so I feel better. A lot of people told us that though. When we travel around, it's like, man, y'all helped me through some hard times. Hard times, man.
Yeah.
You know what's crazy, man? Like when we started doing our YouTube videos, I never knew the impact it had on people.
Yeah.
Like we was doing comedy shows, people would come to you crying and
Yes.
it's like, man, it's crazy, man. So I'm somebody.
Yeah.
Just make you feel good. I mean, this dude said, man, I'm not sensationalized, but man, I had the chair, I had the noose. I was planning to do it.
Yeah.
For some odd reason, I came across your video and I didn't do it.
Wow.
I started laughing.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
He told me that something, man. It's crazy thing. You shared that with me. You mean to tell me I saved your life?
Oh, man.
It's a crazy world we live in.
Oh, man. But we get that too. Myself and my wife, we get it all the time. People come up, sometimes they're crying. Sometimes they tell us how we saved their life.
Right.
And we get about 5 to 10 suicide, messages a day and DMs and things. And we got to send people to the hotline. And, we try to talk. We can't talk to everybody. But a lot of people say that, we stop them from slitting their wrists and all kind of stuff, which is just, it makes you realize like, wow, the things you're doing out here are just important. You have an impact on people's lives that literally.
Man, if I'm trying to kill myself, I'm gonna take me a whole bunch of aspirin or something. I ain't cutting myself.
Yeah, that cutting is, I don't know. I don't think I could do that.
Yeah. Like some people jump off cliffs. And
Hey, what we talking about?
blow their brains out. Like, man.
Yeah, it's tough. Some people got it tough, man. But it could be the pharmaceuticals they're on too.
Yeah.
Sleep aids and things like that.
Yeah.
Depression medicine will make you kill yourself. So
You know, that's an interesting point because my son, he suffers from ADHD.
Yeah.
Attention deficit. I got that shit too, but I remember one day in class, Billy, I was like, man, you know what? This semester, I'm going to pay attention, right? I was telling myself, I'm going to pay attention to the teacher. I'm going to make straight A's, right? Then I blacked out, and then I heard the bell ring. I was like, what happened? So I know what ADHD is.
Yeah.
Can't focus, right?
Right.
So my son, he has it, right? So we took him to a doctor, and they prescribed him the Adderall. My older brother, Timothy, much older, much wiser than I am. He said, don't put him on that. Don't put it on. I said, man, I'm listening to the white doctor.
Oh, man, don't do it.
So I put my son on this, right?
Oh, man.
He calls me and says, Dad, I want to kill everybody in the school.
Oh, no. Say, there you go.
Yeah, he said, man, I'm thinking about taking out everybody in school.
Oh, man.
I'm going to take myself out. This makes me feel horrible, which I can relate to because I remember I was taking this dye pill. It was by, I forget the name of the company, but
don't make it. I ain't trying to get sued.
Big Keith was working as insurance adjuster in AAA of Southern California.
Oh, we broke out in a rash.
Keith said, man, I feel like hurting everybody in this office.
I had anxiety.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
I was losing weight, though.
Yeah, you're going to be fit, but you're going to be mentally ill.
That's one of the side effects. You're going to get ripped, but you're going to be crazy.
Yeah.
But tell our audience what you specialize in, who you are.
Well, my name is Billy Carson. I'm the founder of Forbidden Knowledge with the number 4. And I specialize in a huge range of topics, ancient civilizations, which I've done very well. I've been on a lot of TV shows for that, Travel Channel, History Channel, Discovery Channel, Science Channel. And also I'm into quantum physics, quantum mechanics, and I've been on a lot of science shows for that as well on mainstream TV, as well as Gaia TV. And then I have my own TV network now, and also teaching metaphysics, spirituality, inspiration and motivation, and health and wellness. Yeah.
Man, we need more black men like you.
Man, I appreciate it.
A man of many hats.
Yeah.
A lot of hats, man. But it's been a great journey, but it's been worth it.
Yeah. You said, I'm sure people have told you sound like Morgan Freeman.
Yeah, all the time.
Yeah,
if I had $1.
Have you been offered to do any voiceover work?
Yeah. Voiceover work, narration.
Yeah, I swear, if I hear your voice on like a commercial, I'm buying it.
Actually, I do spoken word. So I do spoken word over music. So I produce music too. I have a record label also. And one of my biggest songs is Affirmations. And I'm just speaking over the track. And that track has millions of streams on Spotify and Apple Music and everything else.
Right.
Yeah.
Hey, man, I got a feeling Morgan Freeman, he going to try to take you out. This dude's taking all my jobs.
I love Morgan Freeman, but, it's time for him to hand the torch over to me because
right. He made his money.
He about 90 now.
Yeah.
He's been 90 for the last 30 years, though.
Yeah. Yeah, I know.
I don't know. He might still be here. But when I'm gone, he'll still be here.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Hey, so you believe in aliens, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Tell us about what your experience of opened your eyes to about regarding aliens.
Yeah, now aliens, when you say aliens, a lot of people automatically, they default back to what they've seen in Hollywood on TV.
Little green man.
Little green man with the antenna coming out their head, right?
A big ass head.
Right, yeah. Now, I think that those gray alien body types do exist just because of experiences that I've witnessed. But I do believe that the majority of aliens are like us. And how do I come to this conclusion? Reading ancient texts and tablets, papyruses, cylinder scrolls from all around the world, and talking to indigenous cultures, like walking with the Aboriginal elders in the outback. They will tell you that they were seated here by Pleiadians. And when you ask them, well, who are these Pleiadian people? They say they're people just like us. We look like them. And
Pleiadians.
Pleiadians. There's a star system in the night sky, if you look up. It's called the Pleiadian star system. And you can see 6 of the 7 stars with the naked eye on a dark night. The 7th star is kind of a faded star, so more like a white dwarf. It ran out of fuel. But they're saying that from that area, from that region of space, that there was an advanced civilization millions of years ago, and people had a war there. And when the war broke out, they became space refugees, and they came to this planet amongst other planets to create a breakaway civilization. That's in ancient texts. It's not me making this up. That's in the Mahabharata, the Bhagavad Gita, the Indian Vedas, the Enuma Elish, the 7 tablets of creation, the Epic of Atrahasis, all these ancient texts and tablets.
See, if one tribe said that, you could say it's a conspiracy theory.
Right.
But these are tribes located all across the globe.
All over the world.
Yeah.
Go all the way from Australia to America and go to the Hopi tribe and the Lakota tribe. What do they say? the Star Brothers seeded them on this planet. Where are the Star Brothers from? The Pleiades. Go to the Egyptians. They also have it even in the hieroglyphs.
Right.
You go to the ancient Mesopotamia, now modern-day Iraq and all that, Turkey, the same exact story. They called it Mulmul, the Pleiadian star system. They etched it into stone, and they say that people came from there to here. So this account of people, not, little green man, but people coming to this planet goes back millions of years.
That's crazy because how did all these people come up with the same story? And it's, just
separated by continents and separated by oceans.
Right.
They have the same exact story. They have the same exact depictions. So if you go look at the Dogon tribe in Africa, they have a depiction of these people. They call them the Nomo, right? And when you look at the depiction of them, they look just like the Sumerian depiction of the Anunnaki or the Anuna from the Assyrian or the Babylonian. And so how did this happen? And they're talking about, the Dogon say that these people came from Sirius B, which is another star that ran out of fuel. It's a trinary star system. It orbits 3 stars. And they knew the orbital pattern of the star system. They knew the distance from the star system to Earth. They also know all the names, the shapes, and sizes of planets in our solar system because the Nomo taught this to them. And they kept this on record for thousands of years.
Is the Nomo, Billy?
The Nomo.
Right up on the TV.
Yeah, so there you go, yeah. You can see some of the Nomo there. They also have some that have the fish suit. So if you find one with the fish suit.
This is in Africa?
Yeah, in Africa, yeah. The Dogon. Yeah. So looking for the Nomo with the fish suit. There they go. Yeah. So these people, they call it the fish suit.
Yeah.
Now what's crazy is the Dogon tribe, how in the world did they know that Sirius B existed? Because we didn't know it existed until like the 1970s.
Right.
So we got technology that can see it, see a failed star. They also knew something crazy. They knew that the star collapsed and the gravity mass had collapsed in on itself. And that the star was smaller, but it had so much mass that 1,000 human beings can't lift 1 teaspoon of it. How did they know that? That's physics. That's quantum physics.
Yeah.
So they had an advanced knowledge of a star that's light years away here on Earth in what we call, an uncivilized tribe.
Walk around, no shirts on.
Yeah. They didn't have a police force. They didn't have an army. They didn't have any crime.
No toilets.
No
just
jail.
dig a hole. Huh?
And but they have one elder that keeps the knowledge, and the elder's not allowed to be touched by any other man. He does get a Padawan at a certain period of time where he trains that person with the knowledge, and then that person takes over when he dies. But they can't be touched, and they must stay completely isolated.
Really? I bet he got all the women. I bet he had bitches right around the corner. Come here, suck me off.
So yeah, but that's what. So aliens
that's
is
deep stuff.
This is deep stuff. So aliens is not just what you see in Hollywood. I think people are aliens. The people that look like us.
Was Jesus an alien in your estimation?
In my estimation, it's possible. I just look at what do you say? What's the definition of an alien? So when somebody says, "I'm not from Earth," or "I'm not of this earth," which is all of religions.
That's what he said too.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Right,
So
yeah.
that's the definition is alien, right? It's either from another country that came to your country or not from this earth. And so when the being says, "I'm not of this earth," oh, you're an alien.
That dude's an illegal alien. You just go back where you came from.
And, that seems to want to offend people. I don't know why it offends anybody.
Right. No, I think it's just woke outrage. Really.
Yeah,
I mean, we call people that come in our country illegal aliens.
Yeah.
You know?
I don't see what the big deal is.
Right.
If somebody's not from Earth, then they're an alien. If God's not from Earth, so God, to my opinion, is an alien. That's the right definition to give that being.
Oh, that's what that offends people. What you're saying?
Yeah, it offends them. Yeah, it gets them scared and offended and everything else. But I don't know why. I don't understand what the big deal is. I really don't.
Yes. You're not denying that he
insult.
existed. You're not denying what he is or who he is.
Right.
When you call him aliens, no, he's not.
Well, then what is he?
He's human like me.
Yeah. He's not. Yeah, he's not. So if you're saying he's not human, then. But so just interesting. But yeah, but aliens I think are, all human beings are aliens on this planet. When scientists looked at the stars in the sky on a dark night and saw that the Milky Way, what we thought was the Milky Way, we've been wrong the whole time. They discovered recently, and they've been changing all the astrophysics books, that is actually the Sagittarius dwarf galaxy. not the constellation of Sagittarius, but the dwarf galaxy Sagittarius, which is another galaxy being swallowed by the actual Milky Way. And right at the insertion point where it drops in and is being swallowed up by the gravitational forces is our solar system. So they now hypothesize that our solar system itself is not even from the Milky Way, that we're all aliens. Even our solar system is an alien to this galaxy. And we're going to absorb the Andromeda galaxy in 5 million or 5 billion years, I believe, 5 billion years. Maybe it's 5 million. It's either one or the two. You can look it up.
It will be dead and gone.
Yeah. It'll be called Milkometer. So, you know, this is a natural process.
Right.
So we're all aliens, man, at the end of the day.
Well, when I see like all this stuff down in Africa, like the pyramids and stuff, and I look at the pictures of it, I'm like, these pyramids, how old are these pyramids?
Oh, man, they try to say they're only been 3 to 5,000 years old, but some of these pyramids, in my personal opinion, are tens of thousands of years old.
Yeah, how could they have done that back then? Just slave labor.
And it's crazy. They all pretty much look the same.
Yeah. They have, well, I'm glad you brought that up because we're talking about one master architect. So you have a master architect that lays out a blueprint and then people copy that blueprint. So this one particular person that claims to have ruled over the land of ancient Kemet before it was called Egypt, and the Egyptians acknowledge this being and have him etched into all the temples everywhere, is called Thoth, T-H-O-T-H. He ruled over the land of ancient Kemet for 16,000 years, one person. But he also claims to have built the Great Pyramid. So he said, build it out of the Great Pyramid, patterned after Earth's force, so that it too might remain through the ages. So he claims to have built the Great Pyramid, not Khufu. The Khufu stumbled across the pyramid when he came to reign, and he just claimed it for himself, which is a common thing that these pharaohs were doing. No, that's what they just say, this is mine now.
Hey, they did that here in America. This is my land
right,
now, so.
exactly. Yeah.
White people are sophisticated.
So they maximized it.
Yeah.
And so, but he built this pyramid, but not he physically used his hands. He's the master architect. And then you have a foreman, and you have workers. And so they were trained and skilled in how to build this structure. But this structure goes back, probably in my opinion, 2 precessional star periods. So we're talking about 36 to 38,000 years old.
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to think, because it would be tough to duplicate those pyramids today with all the technology we have today.
Even if it was 3,000 years old. But we think it's more around like 40,000, 30,000.
Yeah, and it's like we're pretty advanced.
Yeah.
And they said it'd be tough to duplicate those pyramids today.
You know why it's so hard? There's over 2 million blocks of stone. Now, let's take a look at a couple things. The first thing is the Great Pyramid itself is over 2 million blocks of individually cut pieces of a puzzle. People think that the stones are like Lego blocks, but they're not. Each stone is completely different from another stone. There aren't no 2 stones alike. So each stone is made specifically for the exact location it's set in. So that means that the stones are being made on the fly for that position, not being rolled from miles away on log rollers and cut already solid blocks and just stacked like Legos. That wouldn't create the pyramid. The next thing you have to understand is once this pyramid is constructed and put together like a puzzle, some kind of technology cut shafts through solid stone all the way beneath the bedrock, 65 meters.
Yeah.
Who and what, where, why, who can do that? We can't do that right now. On a perfect angle without any errors.
Had to have been somebody from another solar system.
They have technology. And so when we take people to Egypt, we take people on tour to Egypt every year. We show them some stones that are from collapsed structures where you can see the tool marks. Now, not just any kind of tool marks on diorite and granite that we don't have a tool that can duplicate those marks today.
That's nuts.
So we're talking about something super advanced that the tool is gone, but the evidence, the fingerprint is there.
Yeah.
Right.
What was the whole purpose of those pyramids? It wasn't just for show, was it?
No. The Great Pyramid was not a tomb. So they try to say it was a tomb for burying Pharaoh. The pharaohs have the Valley of the Kings. That's where they're buried at, over there, not over there. We take people to the Valley of the Kings to see where the tombs are. The tombs are tombs, and this is a monument, but it's a multifunctional stone computer. So the first thing the Great Pyramid did was it gave off energy. It was a power generator, wireless power, just like Nikola Tesla built in the late 1800s, the Wardenclyffe Tower. So they found a way, they put the pyramid on top of the Nile running water. So the Nile ran underneath the Great Pyramid in giant aquifers. Those aquifers are still there, but they're dried out now. The tubes are dry.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. When you have running water underneath magnetized crystal granite, you create something called physiostatic electricity. That creates ions that rush up into the structure, and then you have the grand gallery leading up to the king's chamber. And when they have those resonating rods in there, those rods would step up the power into the king's chamber, and in there, some type of fusion would happen. When that fusion would happen, it would shoot through the apex, and then the obelisks, those giant tall structures with the points on top, they would capture the ambient electricity. And if you have something called a JED, a DJED, you can connect a cable to it and connect it to any electrical device and pick up wireless energy. You can run a mill. You can run electro gold plating devices, which we know that they did that a lot. You can run light bulbs, which we know they had those. All that.
That's crazy. How similar is that to nuclear energy?
Well, nuclear is going to give you a byproduct like, you'll have xenon or some type of a byproduct of nuclear energy. This doesn't have any evidence of any type of a waste product. So this was a clean fusion. Whatever this was a clean fusion. We do know that in the king's chamber, there's this stone box. It's rose granite. And the corner of the rose granite box broke off a huge chunk, and it shot across the room and hit the wall, and it dented with the exact same shape, solid granite. So that tells us that something exploded in there.
Right.
So there was a high energy pulse at some point in the past, which may be the reason why it's broken right now. But that box that's in there is the same exact dimensions as the Ark of the Covenant, which we know from the biblical text was an energy-making device. So it's quite possible that the Ark of the Covenant used to sit in that box to help power the Great Pyramid.
Billy, are you talking about this?
Yeah. That looks like it, but that's too perfect. There's that one. That's it. Boom. There you go. See that corner piece?
Right.
I've got so many pictures standing next to that. If you can see diagonally across from that, which you can't see from this image, across the room where that broken piece came off, the wall is dented with that same exact shape, about 20 feet away. And that's heavy, solid granite, rose granite. So it's incredible that whatever blew up in there had so much energy to break that piece off and shoot it across the room. Yeah. That's it right there.
This is made 30,000 years ago? Yeah. 30 to 40,000 years ago?
Now, this rose granite box, I believe, was added a little bit more recently, maybe 5,000 years ago.
Okay.
And the reason
why... doing some upgrades.
Yeah. Yeah, well, see, when the Nile started meandering away from the edge of the Great Pyramids, which we know happened because now it's like all dry there, but the evidence that was there is in
no, but flies died, people.
Right.
These flies off me.
So when the water left, an important part of the machine left, the running water. So this part, I believe, was added, and the Ark of the Covenant was added to it to keep the power generating. Yeah.
So if you add water, you think, I don't know, it would bring back the power that it used to generate, or?
Well, a couple of things. You got to bring back the water. You have to also bring back the resonating rods. Somebody took them out of the Grand Gallery.
Probably those white people.
They take everything. Them jokers ran up in the temple of Hathor at Dendera and took the original Zodiac out of the ceiling, a massive Zodiac, the first one ever made, and took it straight to France, I believe it's in France, and left us this bad black mold copy in the ceiling. I said, what the? These people take everything and monetize it. Right. So.
Hey, it's capitalism.
Yeah, that's what they do. Yeah, but yeah, that's what it's. So, dude, that's just one thing. So it's a machine. The second
power plant, in other words.
It's a power plant, right? The second thing is, I believe that the Great Pyramid is also part of a star map. So if you look at the Great Pyramid complex from the sky down and look at the surrounding other two pyramids and some of the temples that are there in the area, and you connect them with lines and then make a circle grid connecting all of the structures, you get this alignment. Now, this alignment, when you take the NASA interplanet solar system map and download it from the internet and then scale it down and overlay it, it matches perfectly.
So it's like a what you call it? A place you can see from space, a landmark.
Right, exactly. It's a landmark.
And here in Vegas, they got a pyramid. Carrot Top performs there. He does comedy.
Luxor.
And from the Luxor, they trying to replicate that.
With the beam?
They said that light that goes up into you can see it from space.
Yeah.
Where do you think they got that idea from?
They got it from the Great Pyramid. They used to have that. This, and it still generates electricity at the apex, even though the capstone's missing. It still generates random electricity there.
So you think that pyramid was like a power plant to power the entire city?
Yeah,
Give
absolutely.
light?
No doubt. And then also, if you from taking some basic measurements of the base of the pyramid and the stone and the Grand Gallery, you can come up with the number of days in a year. You can come up with the distance from Earth to the sun, the distance from Earth to the moon, the speed of Earth on its axis, the speed of Earth around the sun, and the speed of the sun around the Milky Way galaxy, and even the speed of the Milky Way galaxy around the local cluster of galaxies. All from the Great Pyramid. It's all encoded into the structure.
So that's why you think we aliens, because we had the technology to...
Yeah. This is a time capsule. They left this knowledge behind for us today, for us, because we're the ones now that can decipher it and recognize the genius in it. And we can recognize the mathematics and say, oh, my goodness, these people were here. They knew all this information that we're just finding out.
Do you think people on this elitists already know how to decipher all this information?
Yeah.
And it's like free energy for everybody.
They know, well, if Nikola Tesla did it in 1800s,
right?
And when he died, the government came in and took all his documents.
All his patents, right?
All his patents and documents, they snatched it all up. So, and they utilized some of that to do scalar weapons, scalar radar technology. They developed it from Nikola Tesla's plans. You know, the modern world is built on all of his, cell phones and radios and satellites and all that comes from Nikola Tesla.
That's where Elon Musk got the name. I'll take it from him. He's dead now.
Yeah, right.
I'm white. I'm going to take this Tesla.
Make it into $1 trillion company. Monetize it.
Yeah.
He monetized it. But yeah, so there's a lot of black budget programs that exist. And these black budget programs, they go with no congressional oversight. DARPA has a lot of projects that they run that they take, contracts from the Pentagon, which come from American tax dollars. And these projects, a lot of them will never see the light of day, but they have to deal with anti-gravity, wireless, free wireless energy, space travel, all these other things that we think is just sci-fi. They've already done it.
Yeah. Sector 7. Out of the Transformers. Remember that? Sector 7?
Cobra.
Speaking of Cobra exposed, that series exposed some real technology that does exist, some black budget technology. There's something called a rod from God. It's a weapon.
Rod from God.
And this is a satellite that has 20-foot tungsten steel rods on it. And when they drop them, they can pinpoint any city, and it uses kinetic energy to blow the city up with no nuclear fallout because it's just a rod. It's using kinetic energy.
This is it?
And they showed it. Yeah, there you go.
So it's like a laser
Boom.
beam?
No, it's just a 20-foot tungsten steel rod that can be dropped to precision within millimeters of the location of the target. And it's using pure kinetic energy, gravity, and E equals MC squared. That's all it needs, nothing else. And it will blow up an entire city.
Really?
Yeah, just a steel
So
rod.
they're replicating an asteroid hitting Earth.
Yeah, basically. Exactly. Exactly. Yep, that's exactly what it is. No fallout, no nuclear waste to clean up. You're destroyed. So this is how America takes control of a lot of countries.
I'm going to drop this stick on your ass. Don't let me call up Sector 7 and tell them to drop that stick on your ass. Yeah.
And once you find out they got that hovering over your head, you'll fall in line.
Right.
Yeah.
They call it God's rod.
The rods from God.
Oh, the rods from God.
The rods from God. Yeah. So and there's a lot of technology that they have that, it's not fully disclosed. They have the TR-3B, which is a flying triangle. It uses a rotating ring underneath the flying triangle, which uses something called a ferrofluid vortex engine, which means it's liquid metal spinning at a high RPM, and it's electrified and pressurized, which create anti-gravity. They have that. So you remember when the Gulf War happened and we knew they had the stealth fighters? Well, this is the next thing behind the stealth fighters. Eventually, these things have been seen. I've done TV shows on the Travel Channel at the bottom, but these things have now been seen and have been, they've been kind of slowly bringing them out. But on the next big excursion, you'll see these TR-3Bs everywhere.
Yeah. When I looked at that stealth bomber, it looks alien to me. I was like, where did he get the idea from? To make a stealth bomber? Because when you say it fly, it doesn't look of this world. It looks alien.
Yeah. Well, I think a lot of the technology is reverse engineered. See, that's the TR-3B up there. And a lot of the technology, so they discovered that these scalar beams can disorient craft. So when they were working with it with radar, they started pointing at some of these UFOs, and they noticed that the UFOs are becoming disoriented. This happened in 1947 in Roswell, and they brought down 2 UFOs in Roswell, New Mexico. We only know about the one famous one that came down. But when they realized that it had an effect on the craft, they started doing making a mission of trying to bring these things down and recover the craft. which is what Grisham and all these other people have been talking about in the news, testifying before Congress, that we have the vehicles and we have the bodies, is what they said. So it's all coming out. It's, everything I've been talking about for over 20 years is all becoming fact.
And aliens, they look just like us.
They look just like us, except for some of the ones that they had seem to be much smaller, almost like dwarfs in a way.
Midgets.
Yeah. But yeah, right. That's not the correct way to say it, but yeah.
Tiny people. Hey, I never understood that. Okay. You don't want to be called an M, but you want to be called a tiny person? I think I'd rather be called an M.
I'd rather be a midget.
Well, you ain't got to say it to say M.
Oh, God. Anyway, but they take the craft, they bring them back to, base, and they reverse engineer them. And then they develop all kinds of technologies. From the 1947 crash, we got Velcro, we got fiber optics, we got microchips, and a lot of other technology that has come out and that has dribbled down into society today came from that 1947 crash.
Yeah, that Steph Bomber, man, that is just so obvious.
Yeah.
You know the Steph Bomber?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, like Batman's plane.
Yeah.
I said, man, that's alien. They already got this shit. they try to bring it out slowly at a time like they ain't never had it.
Yeah. Like the people that built the pyramids, like, where did they go?
Yeah. So if you look at some of the ancient texts, you see that they had a war, something called the Pyramid War. They had two of these Pyramid Wars. In the second Pyramid War, it was so bad that they released a weapon that they call a weapon of mass destruction. A WMD. Sound familiar?
Yeah.
Bush,
yeah.
And Junior, right?
Line George Bush. Hey, they got weapons of mass destruction. Only people that got it is us. Tell about they got weapons of mass destruction, and he the only one got it.
Yeah, we got it. You can't have that.
Right. We got 30,000 nukes pointed to everybody.
How dare you want your own nuclear bombs?
I know. So they had this weapon of mass destruction, and when it was released, they couldn't return it. It says we couldn't return it, means they couldn't stop it. And it released something called the evil wind. Now, the evil wind, Enki is telling to his father, it's killing the black-faced people of the land. It's killing the cattle. It's killing the sheep. And he said that their eyes are bleeding, their fingernails are falling off, and their hair is falling out. Sounds like radiation sickness.
Right.
Where can you see evidence of this actual war on Earth? All over the place. Go to Mohenjo-Daro, Indus Valley in Pakistan. Okay, so Mohenjo-Daro, Indus Valley in Pakistan, the dead bodies are still laying in the street holding hands right now. And no scavenging has ever happened to these bodies. The bodies have higher than background level radiation, and the buildings that they lived in right behind them turned into glass. You can only do that with 3,000 plus degree weapons fire. Yeah. Okay, there you go. Wow. Yeah.
Where is this at?
That's in Mohenjo-Daro in the Indus Valley. This is the location of one of these great wars.
What's in Africa?
Pakistan.
Pakistan.
Evidence of incredible amount of weapons fire here. Okay. And so these bodies just fell right there. There's some bodies even sitting on their staircase trying to get away.
Right.
They died where they were. And
like
really
over time, these bodies probably, 30,000 years old? 40?
No, these were a few thousand years old.
It looked like their bones would have already turned to dust.
Yeah, no, they're still hanging on. And they have higher than background level radiation. Now, also, when you look at other areas within that region, you'll find out that this is called vitrification. A lot of the buildings have turned to glass, 3,000 plus degree temperature. And also even in Giza, in Egypt, in Africa, you dig deep enough, you start finding these balls of glass. And the Africans would carve them into scarab beetles to praise the gods. But they were just remembering this great war that happened. You can't turn sand into glass unless you heat it up to a high temperature. And then I take people to see the bent pyramid at Dashur, where the corners you can clearly see and the whole side has been blown off by some type of weapon. And I have them pick up the charred pieces of remains of the actual structure laying around in the sand to see like this was a weapons fire. This is not just decay. So there you go right there. So that's the bent pyramid of the shore. I've climbed the entire interior of that pyramid, 1.5 miles going in all the way to the top from the inside and then coming back out. It's a total of 1.5 miles.
Dang.
Climbing and crawling through shafts and everything else. And I usually take, about 100 people in there every year. So it's an incredible structure. There's a lot of hidden secrets inside that pyramid. That pyramid is not a power generator. That pyramid was a giant diagnostics machine. And it was said by the people, the indigenous people, that if you had a sickness or an illness, they would fill certain chambers in there with water, and they would gong these special stones. And the location I was standing at the inside at the top looking down, that person would see some type of an x-ray of the person's body from that angle, and then they can detect what was wrong with them.
Right.
And that was a diagnostics tool, and it wasn't bent on by accident. It was bent on purpose. That was the actual design that they used to build that structure. The same exact design of that structure is the same exact design of the Pyramid of the Sun at Teotihuacan in Mexico. Same architect.
Yeah, it's like, well, because these pyramids are not just in Africa; they're all over the world.
Yeah. There's thousands of pyramids. They just found another 200 pyramids in Africa from ground penetrating satellite data.
Really?
They're underneath the sand.
What part of Africa?
Right there in Egypt. Yeah.
Oh, in Egypt?
In Egypt. So they're finding pyramids in the jungles, finding pyramids. Everywhere you look, there's more pyramids underneath the water. If you look off the coast of Cuba, they found a pyramid complex underneath the water off the coast of Cuba. And then you have the Bermuda Triangle, which is saying at the center of that triangle, at the base, there's a pyramid down there giving off some type of energy. And if you draw a line straight through the Bermuda Triangle, through the earth, you pop out at the Dragon's Triangle in Japan, where you have the Yonaguni Pyramid underwater, which had some strange instances there as well.
That's one hell of a coincidence.
That's one hell of a coincidence, I'm telling you. So at the end of the day, you got to say all these things add up to circumstantial evidence.
Right.
There's something high tech. There's a global civilization. This wasn't this tribe talked to this tribe 20,000 years later and they tried to build the same thing. These things are built all around the same time period. So somebody had the ability to travel around the planet at the same, during a specific time period and teach this, how to build these structures.
Like the lost city of Atlantis.
Yeah.
We had Mr. Corsetti here. He was showing us things like, they said the Eye of Atlantis has 3 rings or something like that, and they found something similar that matched that from space. They said it's in the Sahara of Africa. He said maybe that's where the city of Atlantis was.
It's quite possible. I mean, anybody who says they know exactly where it's at, but we can hypothesize, and that's actually a good guess. But one thing I do feel is that Atlantis, the ring city, wherever it was located, it was most likely just one capital of many. So when you go back and start researching, Atlantis was not just the ring city. That was one capital. But Atlantis was the entire planet. And there were many capitals on Earth being ruled over by these Anunnaki people. These Anuna. They have many different names. Some call them the Anuna, aliens. The biblical texts, they call them the Anak. Babylonian, call them the Anuna. Excuse me. One second. Kind of dry out here in the desert.
All that damn talking.
Oh man, it's kind of dry in the desert. But so then you have in Australia they have a name for them as well. They like for instance Thothamabi, and then you have these people are known all over the world. And of course you have the Greek gods, which are still different names of the people from Mesopotamia. It's the same exact people. So they've been known all over the world, and these people traveled the world and interacted with human beings all around this entire planet. When Thoth got done in Egypt, he left there and he took Olmecs with him, African Olmecs, and he went to South America, Mexico, and he built the Teotihuacan civilization all the way down from Teotihuacan down into Chichen Itza. And how do we know that? The base of the Pyramid of the Sun is the exact same size as the base of the Pyramid of the Great Pyramid of Giza in Egypt. The height of the Great Pyramid the height of the Pyramid of the Sun is exactly 50% of the height of the Great Pyramid of Giza. Both sites have 3 pyramids aligned with Orion.
And you think the majority of these pyramids were power plants?
Yeah. Well, I believe that the Pyramid of the Sun, I believe, was a power plant. They found underground tunnels connecting the pyramids in Teotihuacan, Mexico. Right, the 3 pyramids there, and they found mica lining inside these perfectly square shafts that connect underground.
What's mica?
That's insulator. So it insulates. Why would they need insulation? Because in some way, I believe they were generating electricity.
Yeah. Why were they doing sacrifices, Billy?
Well, what's crazy is you look at these cultures, these Mayan cultures, right? And you say, oh, they on TV, they say, they built these pyramids. Really? Well, how come they ripping people's hearts out while they're still alive and eating them?
Damn savages.
Throwing virgins into the lake, hoping that sacrificing virgins so they hope it could rain tomorrow.
Right.
But they can do that. Come on.
Right. Yeah.
Come on now.
You think everything about history is all BS?
Yeah. The Mayans stumbled onto this site. Now, finally, they're teaching this in universities in Mexico.
Oh, really?
That the Mayans inherited what was already there. They didn't build anything. And then the Aztecs came about 80 years after that or so, and because they had a volcano explode where they were living, and it destroyed their entire village. And so they moved and just kept walking. They stumbled across the area and took over the area then. So they just inherited it.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
You know? So just like the dynastic era of Egyptians kind of inherited what Kemet already had. Ancient Kemet already had high tech, high levels, had pyramids, had structures of ancient temples. And the dynastic era, those people inherited. And as you go forward in the dynastic era, you realize that their ability to build got less and less. In other words, how megalithic the stones were, smaller. They would take a structure and cut the stones in pieces and glue them together. So you would think that they were building these megalithic structures. Some of their structures are like glued together stones. So they look huge. Oh my God, this is crazy. This is incredible. But when you get up on them, you realize that they're just stacking smaller stones on top of each other. But when you go back in time, they're using single stone pieces to build these structures. I mean, megalithic blocks that come from hundreds of miles away, and you go, how did they do this? Right. So the further back you go in time, the more sophisticated, the more megalithic. The further to the front you come towards us in time, the smaller and the more general standard construction techniques were used.
It's like that technology was lost.
Exactly. The information was lost over time, and the people just did their best. They got, they used a lot of ingenuity, but they didn't have the true knowledge.
Right.
Yeah.
So these aliens, they seeded the Earth.
Yeah.
So we're all pretty much like aliens.
We all have the DNA inside of us.
Have the DNA, but we're not 100% them, though.
No.
Is that what it is?
That's what it is. So it seems as if, and this is only based on what I've researched, and this could be false, but I don't know. This war happened in the Pleiadian star system. These people, for whatever reason, want to preserve our race. Not exactly Homo sapien sapien, but a version of us. Maybe Homo sapien something else. Brought us to this planet, maybe even seeded other planets with us. And then at some point, these Anunnaki people came to Earth after we were already here. And we know this because in the Epic of Atrahasis, it says that there's people here already. They call us beings. There's beings here already. They were trying to figure out how can they get somebody to help with the workload because they were tired of doing all this labor. And Enki says, well, there's an existing being here. We can add our essence to it and get it to bear the load. So you say they call us an it, so they're kind of seeing us almost like an animal in a way, right? So they genetically tinkered with us and got us to do the work for them. So by doing that, they took away their workload and put the workload on human beings. Now, human beings, when a more advanced civilization meets a less advanced civilization, the less advanced civilization will deify that culture or those people that they met instantaneously. Right. It's called a cargo cult. I believe that Earth is a giant cargo cult. That's what I believe, that we were engaged by beings that had no business engaging us and getting us to do things and tinkering with our DNA. And where's the evidence of this tinkering? Chromosome number 2 in the human body, taken out and fused together, telomere caps put on each end. Geneticists say it's an artificial mutation. Artificially done by who? They say we don't know, but it's artificial. It would take more multi-millions of years for this to happen naturally, and somebody did this somehow, some way. We can't figure it out, but it's artificial. That's hardcore peer-reviewed science that says somebody messed with our genetic code and altered us.
That's all races of humans?
Yeah.
So this is probably big dumb Neanderthals, right? Then they find these old school big dumb Neanderthals. So I think these aliens came here. I don't know if they had sex with us or how they did it.
Some of these tablets read like a porno, I ain't gonna lie.
Really?
Yeah.
Big dumb Neanderthal just getting.
Well, they just came out and said Neanderthals wasn't stupid.
Yeah, they were smart.
They were very smart.
They had more brain. Okay. They had more cranial space than us, so they had bigger brains. So they had bigger brains, which means they feel like they had more intelligence.
Yeah, if your brain's bigger, look at the bird. That's why they're so stupid. Brain like this.
A pigeon.
So they're finally coming to terms with the fact that our ancestors, or some of these Neanderthals and Desovians, all the other beings, they may have been more intelligent than us in some ways, and that the genetic modification came to shrink our brains and shrink our skull size, shrink our pineal glands, which are our third eye, and get us to worship these beings as God so that we would be enslaved but not know that we were enslaved.
Sound like the white man's master plan.
It worked for a long time.
Look at our new giveaway. Ford Raptor. Look at that. Avalanche Gray. 37-inch tires. Over 500. I think it's 510 horsepower. I think it's 501. But I do know it's 500 at least. It's 510. Like I said. Hey, so y'all know why we do this. We used to pay for advertising on Facebook, Instagram. Put these contests out there. And they was censoring us the whole time. I think, Man, why don't we incentivize our own fans? Yeah, you support us, we support you. You support us, we give you money. You support me, I give you trucks. It's a win-win for everybody. Need to start giving them some white women. What? Go to officialhodgetwins.com. Anything you buy from the site gets you automatically into the win. No purchase necessary. All where prohibited. See official rules for details. Yeah.
But it's crazy if you knew what these aliens look like. I bet you all of them look like Elon Musk.
Well, you can see what they look like on. They're all over the statues.
Yeah, right.
Look up Gilgamesh. So Gilgamesh was a giant. He was about 10 to 12 feet tall. Mm-hmm. Maybe could have been a little bit bigger. He holds a lion in one arm, like it's a baby. He holds a lion with one arm.
Okay.
And the Epic of Gilgamesh is one of the greatest literary pieces ever released by any ancient culture. You can find it at the British Museum. There's Gilgamesh there.
Blow it up. So
He's the king. He was the king of Uruk, and just a giant, massive being. And he's just one of many, many huge, giant people that existed in ancient times.
He's holding a lion.
Yeah, he's got a lion. See, he's got his braided down, locked hair. Yeah, but that's Gilgamesh. But there's huge original statues located at the British Museum. Mm-hmm. You can go there and see them and perhaps see them in person.
How'd they get there in Britain?
Oh, they snatch them. They're good at that. They got everything.
We'll sell tickets.
They gotta monetize. They're gonna monetize everything. They're gonna monetize everything.
Right.
So yeah, but
they look Caucasian Greek.
Yeah, they do have that look to them. Mm-hmm. And so when you look at some of these beings, they got some that look more African, some that look a little more like this, some that look more Asian. There's a huge mix.
Right.
And I think people have a misconception. So some people say, the Anunnaki were all black. They were all white. They were all this and that. For my research and reading some of the descriptions of some of all this dry text that I've read for thousands of lines, you discover that they had a multiracial look. Right. So you had black, you had some were dark with bright blue glowing eyes, like the eyes would almost glow, and blonde
scary.
hair. Yeah, I know.
Yeah, it's actually some black people, dark-skinned blacks with blue eyes.
Yeah. And blonde hair. I think it's Melanesia, right? And then some were almost completely pale. Super pale. With white hair and blue eyes or green eyes. Some were dark skinned, but also had hair like mine and yours. And some looked Asian. Some had Asian features, and some had like Native Indigenous American features. So you see this like melting pot of these people. It wasn't like they were all this or all that. And I think a lot of people got too caught up in fighting over what race they were.
Yeah.
But the fact is, I believe the evidence has been around. There's so many statues of them. There's a multiracial beings. Right. When you go to Mexico, go to Teotihuacan, you can see some of these Olmec heads that they have out there that they've brought to the site, to the place where they sell, tourists come up and buy all the trinkets and stuff, but they got some Olmec heads. Some of these Olmecs have Asian eyes. They don't have African black eyes. They're Afro-Asian, right? And so it's like, wow, this is crazy. So we're talking about a real mixed race that existed. And the only solid race that was only one race at a time was I believe the black race on Earth. And then when the Tower of Babel incident happened and they separated the people and said, we're gonna mix their languages and we're gonna separate them, put them in different lands, I think that's when a lot of diversity came in. And the people who look different as far as these aliens, if you were Asian, if I was Asian and you came under me to my area, I'm going to now genetically tinker with you. Your next offspring is going to look Asian. That's my opinion. It's like a genetic branding.
Right.
And how I came up with this, when I started looking into genetics, like what makes a black person look different than an Asian, than a Caucasian, than an indigenous person or an Indian person, it's like there's a 2% variance in genetics.
Right.
Now, so I contacted some geneticists. I said, hey, how long would it take for this to happen? You know what they said? Millions of years. I said, well, can you explain how it's possible that it's here right now and it would take millions of years? It's only been 200,000 years. Right. They said, we can't answer the question. I think the difference in races is genetic branding. When you read the Emerald Tablets, those had a crew of people that went with him to Kemet to rebuild Kemet after the flood. And then he said, after they rebuilt Kemet, he told them to spread out and duplicate what we did here. Right. But these people started capitals of Atlantis. They called themselves sons of Atlantis. When they got to a region, they ruled over people. y'all gonna look like me. So that way people know y'all are my people. People know that's his people over there. It's like branding a cow. Farmer Joe got that brand on his cow.
Right.
Everybody know that's Farmer Joe's cow. Don't mess with his cow.
Yeah, so it's like Nike and Under Armour.
Yeah.
It's same thing like when you look at slavery, like you take the name of your owner.
Exactly.
Like Hodge, we came from Hodges.
Right.
Yeah. You know?
Yeah.
Same concept.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Learning from the aliens.
Yeah. They taught us a lot. They installed a whole bicameral Congress in ancient Mesopotamia. They installed, the whole legal system. They installed inflation. They installed fiat currency all the way back then. They had all these things thousands of years ago. And of course, construction, street grids, city centers, plumbing, all that was invented thousands of years ago. It started in Mesopotamia and spread around the entire world.
You know what's crazy? When you read the Bible, regardless of what faith you are, or you look at all these ancient texts, nobody talks about race at all.
No, yeah, not really. I mean, they mentioned the Nubians and this and that, but they don't go, they don't say them black people over there.
You got careful, got the niggas over there.
you gotta figure it out on your own. Yeah, you're right.
But they didn't. It was like trivial to them.
Yeah.
Because they was doing bigger and better things. It's like all this technology is lost. It's like everybody went to separate race and everybody just got stupid and started hating each other.
Yeah, it's a lot of hate going on.
Yeah.
Hate, more hate than love. But it's gonna switch. It's gonna flip flop.
Yeah.
What do you think about these lizard people?
The reptilians.
Yeah.
So look up the Ubaid culture. Ubaid. So they found these Ubaid reptilian statuettes located in Mesopotamia. It's a pre-Sumerian culture. So they were there before these people got there. And these Ubaid people, they were clearly reptilian people, and there were a lot of them. They had a monarchy type system.
That is crazy.
Yeah, and so you see, you got the man there, you got a woman. You even have one breastfeeding a baby. I think that golden one there. Yeah, she's breastfeeding a baby. See that?
Man, that looked crazy.
Yeah, I know. And so these people were there first. Some of the structures that they lived in are still there. They're worn down to nubs now, but they're still in the desert out there in the Middle East. And this culture, this Ubaid culture, was a culture and a race of people that were reptilian people that lived on Earth thousands and thousands of years ago.
You think that we could mate with them, have kids with them, or no?
I don't know. I mean, I don't know how the genetics work, but
that's what you call an interracial relationship.
Super interracial.
Yeah, that baby gonna look crazy. That baby ain't gonna look nothing like you.
But it seems as if they kind of kept to themselves. They ran their civilization. They didn't really interact with us, but but they were here. They were here before the Anunnaki arrived.
They probably didn't want to fool with them. They was isolated on purpose.
If we're aliens, it seems like to me they're just another species of alien.
Yeah. See, Earth became my opinion. I always tell you when something's my opinion. Earth is a breakaway civilization for races of people. When you have a war, imagine there's a war on Mars, right? Which happened a long time ago. But imagine, but Mars now is being blown up into pieces. The whole planet's going to blow up. A huge chunk can hit this planet at any moment, which will destroy all of us. So you get into your ship if you have one. If you're lucky enough to be an elite that has a ship, and you get out of here, you got to find another place to live. I think that there was this huge rush of people leaving that star system, the Pleiadian star system, space refugees that ended up looking for planets to colonize, and Earth just happened to be one of them. That's my personal opinion.
Now, for that to be possible, they say these planets are like light years away. How would you cover that amount of distance? You have to go through some kind of dimension, or what would you call it? Wormhole?
Yeah, there's a couple different ways. There's a couple ways to bypass the speed of light limitation. The first way would be, to me, the most popular way would be a warp drive. Like you see in Star Trek, they've developed something called the Albuquerque drive. And the Albuquerque drive is a real drive they tested in a laboratory. It can create a warp field. Now, they don't have enough energy to create a long warp field, in other words, keep it sustained, but they know they can make a warp field now. So what is a warp field? Imagine you have a table, and you have a tablecloth on the table, and you put your cup in the middle of the table, and you pull the tablecloth. The cup comes toward you. So in order to bypass the limitation of the speed of light, you have to do something. You can't move through space, but you can move space and violate the law. So a warp field shrinks space in front of the ship and expands it from the back. So what's happening is you're moving space, you're not moving the ship. The ship actually never goes anywhere, but it ends up in a different location on the XYZ axis because you've moved space-time. And so that's a way of bypassing the speed of light by multitudes without violating the law of relativity, okay? The other way would be is some type of dimensional travel.
Right.
Getting into a hyperdimension and moving through a hyperdimension through a slip screen and popping out at another end. Or the third way could be something called the Einstein-Rosen bridge, where Einstein and Rosen created this theory of bending space and time through a wormhole. If you can create a stable wormhole, you can go from one point to the other by just bending space and going boop, boop, and you're right there.
Yeah, teleport.
Yeah, that's right. So there's a couple ways to do it.
Yeah, I mean, if you develop something that could travel at the speed of light, I mean, you're going to end up hitting some shit. You're going so damn fast, you ain't going to know what you're going to hit.
Well, you wouldn't want to travel at the speed of light because what will happen is you'll end up going backwards in time. So if you travel a percentage of the speed of light, you're going to have all kind of time dilation issues trying to get back to your home world. So if I go away from Earth at the speed of light for 1 year and then come back, that's 2 years. I think you'll be probably aged 50 or 60 years or some crazy number. You can look it up.
Yeah, that's
Time
when I was
dilation.
looking at this old movie with Charlton Heston, Planet Apes.
Oh, yeah.
They was on his ship, and he's like, "You 2,000 years old.
Yeah. Yeah.
Everything you know is turned to dust."
So, yeah.
You remember that part?
Yeah. Classic. That's the classic one.
Right. That's my best one.
Yeah, it is. It is. But that's what happens. Time dilation issues. But in a warp drive, dimensional travel, hyperspace travel, you don't have that problem. There might be small dilation issues, but nothing massive like that. You can get back to Earth in your same time frame, but with just going at the speed of light, the old-fashioned way, that's going to create a lot of time dilation problems.
Yeah, you're going to hit some shit, too. You're going to hit a big-ass rock or something? So you're going to run into a planet.
You have to have long-range scanners.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have to, scanners that can scan, half a light year away.
Yeah, you got to at least have 20/20 vision. Yeah, man. Man, that is, I was going to say something, but I was thinking about running into something. All right, so all this, what you're talking, this is all quantum physics, right?
Yeah, quantum
Where
physics.
did you pick this stuff up at?
I just thought I just had a good ability to retain the information, but also understand it. So when I recognized that, I said, wow, how can I take this further? So I went to this online website called KAHN University. At the time, years ago, it used to be completely free. So I was like, this is a free quantum physics course. It's online.
Let the white man find out about this. Hell no, this ain't free.
But they found out. Now they charge money. But it's still cheap. It's like $10 a month or something like that. I think. But
that add up real quick. Well, you got about 1 million people on this.
Yeah, it adds up quick.
Yeah.
But and a lot of it was really confirmation because a lot of the concepts and ideas, Schrodinger's equation or the double slit experiment or
I don't know what the hell
wave particle duality.
Yeah. You said that shit like you talking about spaghetti and pizza. I don't know what you talking about. Hey, so you're very analytical. You're very good at math.
Yeah.
So calculus, all that shit. Because I opened up a calculus book. I said, this shit ain't even math anymore.
Right.
It's all letters. You might as well call this English.
Yeah, they're symbols. Yeah. But I get it. Just there's something I just took a liking to it and had a passion for it. And it really helped me with the things that I like to teach because I really feel like the quantum physics is explaining spirituality. In other words, spirituality is something that people tend to think is just magical and mysterious and miraculous. But I really believe that the fundamental basis behind the veil is quantum mechanics in action. And the quantum mechanics tell you exactly what's happening on the spiritual side. So if you want to get a good result spiritually, if you really understand the quantum mechanics, you can really manifest the life and the reality that you want.
Right. I was reading this book. I didn't know how powerful the placebo effect was.
Yeah, it's powerful.
It's crazy. Like you could have two people dying. I forget the study. I don't have a brain like you. I forgot half that stuff I read. But they gave the placebo effect was so powerful. They actually gave somebody a pill, and they actually thought they was cured, but they was still.
Yeah.
So they just gave him a sugar pill. So this is going to kill you. Oh, thank God, give it to me. And then they're like, "Oh man, I'm feeling better already."
Yeah. Because they believed it so much that the conscious brain sent the signal to the cells in the body, and the cells believed it well. So the cells have their own memory, The heart has its own brain. The mind has its own consciousness. And when you get all that working on the same frequency, you can heal yourself.
Right.
Yeah.
How much of this, I heard people say we only use like 2% of our brains or whatever, but how true do you think that is? Do you think there's something we haven't tapped into with our brains where we could do unbelievable things that we haven't tapped into yet?
Oh, I definitely believe that. I think that what they've done really is they've programmed us into believing that we aren't using a lot of our brain. By hearing that from the time you're a little kid, growing up, and hearing it on TV shows and science shows and everything else, they're kind of programming us into believing that we're in a box. And a lot of people, when they see somebody who may have psychic powers or telekinesis or all these other great gifts, great intuition, we say, oh man, they got special powers. Well, they're just using the normal powers that everyone else has. They took a scan of the brain and found out that we have billions of magnetite crystals inside of our brains. Now that means we should be able to navigate without GPS. We should be able to navigate like turtles and birds, using the magnetic field of the Earth. So they said, are we connected to these things or not? So they took a guy and they put him in a laboratory setting, connected an EEG cap to his head, and put a bar magnet in the room and started moving it around. And guess what they saw on the computer screen? They saw that the magnetite crystals were orienting themselves to the bar magnet, which means that we still have the access. We can access the ability to sense the magnetic field, but in some weird way, we're disconnected from even knowing that we're sensing it. So we have all these innate abilities and powers that we're not utilizing, pretty much because you guys work out. If you stop going to the gym, what happened? The muscle atrophies.
Right.
And that's the same thing that's happened to us consciously. We've consciously atrophied, and we have this form of amnesia of who we are and how powerful we really are because we're not utilizing the muscle, the conscious muscle.
Like sometimes there's a natural disaster like an earthquake or something like that. These prehistoric-looking tortoises, they're huge turtles, they actually flee an area because they know something's bad.
They know.
Yeah.
Yeah. They can sense it coming. Birds know. Anytime there's a natural disaster, a tsunami coming, the wild animals, they've been long gone.
Right.
Human beings are standing there with a selfie. Hey, look at this water coming. There's water. They see it getting swept away.
Big dumb turtle just like, we got to get the hell out of here. All the people say, man, I got a picture. You see this picture? Fit to die.
Yeah, so we just haven't used our muscles, our consciousness muscles, our natural abilities beyond our five senses enough. Yeah. But they're there. They're just laying there dormant. And they found out that junk DNA isn't junk. They finally made a peer-reviewed document about this, that the junk DNA has a purpose and we can access it. So they're experimenting more and studying that more now. They also discovered that our brain connects, our consciousness connects to up to 11 dimensions. And Michio Kaku, one of the greatest theoretical physicists in the world, him and a group of other scientists said that the universe is at least 11 dimensions. So I believe that we can connect to all those dimensions within the known universe.
Yeah, I heard that word dimension. What does that mean, though?
A dimension is another, for example, we're sitting in the third dimension, right? Okay. So in the third dimension, we have up, down, left, and right. We have this XYZ axis. 2 dimensions is when you connect lines on a piece of paper, and 1 dimension is just a straight line. Okay, so we're in the third. Now above us is something called the hypercube or the tesseract. That's the 4th dimension. In the 4th dimension, you can look down into the third. You can see the past, present, and future all at once. And any dimension higher than that as well. So if you remember the movie Interstellar.
I just watched that, and it was talking about the Tesseract. I was like, what the hell is he talking about?
He's in the Tesseract, which is a modern term for Metatron's cube.
Yeah, he was looking at his family and stuff, and I was like, man, my brain's about to explode.
So he was stuck inside of a hypercube, a 4th dimensional hypercube. Right. He was in a higher dimension. So if you can imagine yourself in your house at age of 5, age of 15, age of 20, and you're looking at yourself from a higher dimension, you can see yourself in the same house, but at different ages.
Right, yeah.
You can see the past, present, future. So he was stuck in that mode. He was in a hypercube looking down into his house at his daughter at different various ages of her life, because from a higher dimension, the past, present, and future exist all at once.
Is that like remote viewing or what's it called? Astral projection?
Well, remote viewing is something a little different. Now, remote viewing can access dimensions, but it's mostly specifically created to target the 3rd dimension. So a coordinator for a remote viewing mission, or this is something that the CIA actually did, is called Project Stargate. So they would come up with a target, okay? So whatever that target would be, let's say they want to see inside the cabinet of Saddam Hussein's, file cabinet for his next mission. So they wouldn't tell anybody that was the target. Okay, because you can't tell what the target is. That would mess up the whole experiment. What you do is you get a random number generator, click it, you get these digits of numbers, and you consciously add that number to the target location. So I'm going to say, okay, the number is 561121189. I'm saying that this is now the target inside the file cabinet. Now I take and I go to the remote viewer and I give them the target number, only the number, not the location, not the time, not what I'm looking for, just a number, and that's all they get. From that number, they go into an awakened meditation where they do something called drawing an idiom, which is a quick scribble on a piece of paper, and from there they're going into breaking down and sensing the target data and writing it down while they're still awake. They're getting into meditation and they're writing this stuff down, so they're not going to a full sleep, but they're getting to a special meditation, and they're getting this information from space-time. And the top remote viewers in the world worked for the CIA. They wrote movies about this. The Men That Stare at Goats was one of them. Major Ed Dames was one of the top guys in charge of this unit, and who trained me in Orlando, Florida, 2 years in a row, okay, in remote viewing. So remote viewing is mind outside of space and time, looking for targets that someone gives you based on the target number, and it could be anywhere. Now, they just recently declassified a CIA document where they gave the world's top remote viewer a target on Mars 1 million years ago. Now, they didn't know that's what it was, but they started coming back with the intelligence. They found pyramids on Mars, they found obelisks on Mars, and they found shadowy, dark people inside of stasis chambers trying to survive because their race was, they were struggling to survive. They were coming to an end. There were very limited numbers, and they were in these stasis chambers just trying to maintain any level of life. And that just got declassified just recently. I did a whole podcast on it. So
they got pyramids on Mars?
They got pyramids there right now. You can go to an image on Mars called Cydonia.
Cydonia.
And on Cydonia, which ironically means Cairo in ancient tongue, in Cydonia, there's a pyramid there, a five-sided pyramid with geometry, okay? And there's the face on Mars at the same location. That's on Mars? Yes, on Mars.
I thought that was a hoax.
They got that in the 19th. No, it's not a hoax. It's real.
Really?
Yeah, they came back and they tried to take images later on from different angles and try to say, oh, yeah, we made a mistake. They don't want people looking. When the world got hold of this information, everyone wanted to start looking into it, okay? That face on Mars is real. The one that you see is kind of obliterated. That came so much later and from a very different angle, and it's kind of obfuscated as well. And we uncovered the obfuscation.
You think that's a mask or a statue, or?
It's the face of this character called, this man called it's not Alulim. It might be Alulim. He's an Alulim or something like Alula. But Alulim, I believe his name is actually Alulim. But he was sent to Mars to die, and that's that's to his face. That's like his face, and that's like an ode to him. He actually ended up getting in a battle with Anu. He got into a battle with Anu, and Anu defeated him. But when he defeated him, unfortunately, this guy bit off his penis. He was on the ground. He was defeated. He used to battle naked. And he bit it off and swallowed it.
He Mike Tyson them, huh?
He Mike Tyson them in the wrong kind of way. And so he was banished to die on Mars.
Giant alien
with no penis.
Giant alien super beings would battle on Mars? Is that right?
No. That was just it's in the Sumerian tablets. Yeah, it's a battle.
That's where you got that information?
Yeah. It's the battle of Alulim. I think his name was Alulim. Alulim and Anu. A-N-U and Alulim. But so, yeah, anyway, so they sent them to Mars. So people hypothesize. We don't know if it is for sure. We hypothesize that face might be the place of his burial. But the thing is that Cydonia, you saw that was up there, the pyramid structure, and there's other structures around. Now, when you take the ordnance map from Avebury in the UK and you download it and you size it and put it over that image of Cydonia, all the anomalies match to the man-made mounds in Avebury. Even the pathways, the walkway they carved in the ground in Avebury on Earth, match the 19.5 degree angle between those structures. So Avebury, UK is a mirror of Cydonia on Mars. How can that possibly happen?
Yeah.
So we're talking about a planet that's 80 million miles away. So somebody knew something, somebody saw something, and somebody had the specific mathematics to make a copy of it on Earth. Yeah, just crazy stuff.
How long would it take if we traveled from Earth to get to Mars? Because I know Elon, he wants to go to Mars, but it's like, I don't even think we've been to the moon yet. I mean, us Earthlings.
Right. Yeah. Well, it takes, Mars has a very strange orbit.
Yeah.
So it goes in this very weird elliptical orbit because Mars used to be a habitable moon of another planet that exploded and became the asteroid belt.
Didn't know that.
Yeah, that planet was called Tiamat. A lot of it became the asteroid belt, and then the other pieces of it flew out to the outer edges of the solar system, and they're called the inner Oort cloud. That's all part of an ancient planet.
So its planet just blew up.
Blew up, yeah. In the Enuma Elish, the 7 tablets of creation, it tells you exactly what happened. Another planet was coming by that had moons, and it crashed into it and exploded and became a huge chunk, swung away, recoalesced with all the organic material and water, became Earth. Pushing Venus closer to the sun, pushing Mercury closer to the sun, taking the 3rd place from the sun. And the other pieces became the asteroid belt called the hammered bracelet, and the other pieces flew out to the outer edges to create the inner Oort cloud and the Oort cloud. And so Mars got slung into this very strange orbit. So at its closest approach, it's going to be only 40 million miles. At its farthest approach, farthest point, 80 million. So if you rendezvous with Mars, though, as it's coming on its closest approach, you can get to Mars in 3 to 4 months with a nuclear-powered ship. If you can just keep burning, or ion power, either nuclear or ion. If you don't do that, it could take you 8 months. If you try to get to it when it's in perigee, it could take you a long time.
The crazy thing is, Coach, you got to have the fuel to get there. You got to have the fuel to come back.
Right. That's why you want to use nuclear. Nuclear just keeps burning. It's going to last for, it can last for 300 years.
Right.
So you don't have to worry about it.
Do you? What's your opinion on us going to the moon? Did we do that?
I think that we went to the moon, but we lied about it. So I wrote this famous blog that got like 30 million views because I gave a lot of compelling evidence that we did go to the moon, but we lied about it, why we went there, and we lied about it through the video and the clips and the images.
Because when I look at that video and those clips, I was like, man, this is like a low-budget movie.
Yeah, low budget. Well, some of those clips are actually fake, but and only some are real, and including the one where they have Kubrick. That's not really Kubrick. There's a famous one that's been passed around for a long time that the director's in the scene, and he's like getting harassed by somebody else about making the shot. That's also fake too. That wasn't even Kubrick. But
had a go-kart up there too, right?
Well, yeah, they did.
Yeah, they was playing golf, right? Did you hear the golf ball?
That was yeah, they did that. But a lot of the scenes where they don't have the helmet on, that's shot in Florida, and then somebody used Photoshop to map it into like a moon-like surface, but have them standing outside with no helmets on. I have the original color image.
We've been there. It's just we lied about
when they sent them low lunar orbit missions, satellites, to go check out the moon before they even. This is during the Mercury's phases, and they discovered that there was stuff up there that shouldn't be up there. The same kind of stuff they saw on Mars, and the same kind of stuff we see on Earth with these ancient civilizations. They said, man, what is this stuff? We need to get our hands on it. Now, instead of telling everybody this stuff was up there, what's the first thing any government wants to do? They want to hide it because why? Because knowledge is power. If they can turn this stuff into technology or weapons, they got the hand up on everybody. So they decided to create this moon mission. The race to the moon was the race to get their hands on this ancient technology between us and Russia. We got there. They brought some of this stuff back with them. And but they showed to you on the screen these crazy scenes and people on ropes and shit. Listen, it was but back then. But if we were in the 70s and the 60s, it looked like real sci-fi.
Yeah, right.
You'd be like, this is great. Yeah. But now we know better because we have all this incredible. We have beyond CGI now. Right. So it's like that's garbage.
I was looking at
how'd they fall for that?
Yeah, I was looking at these old Superman movies from when I was a kid. I look at them now; they comedies.
It's horrible. It's horrible.
Yeah.
Oh my God. So, but that's what happened. So, but back then to them, they were like, wow. But for us, we see right through it.
Yeah.
But now, why? So I went to check out this mission called the Clementine mission. That it was a top secret mission that got declassified by the military to do a low lunar orbit and to take images and video. And as soon as I saw the name Clementine, I realized, oh, this thing never came back. Because the song, Clementine, you were, oh, my darling Clementine, you were lost and gone forever. And sure enough, as I got through the document, I got to the point where it never came back. It crashed on the far side of the moon into something they don't know what it was. They knew it was going to hit something. They wanted to get that data. But they transmitted back gigs of images. And in these images, you can see the most craziest anomalies, things that shouldn't be there, things that look like broken down structures, things that look like domes, things that look like some type of vehicles on the surface. What are those things doing there? So I started looking into the far side of the moon and did the astronauts ever report anything? And I got a Freedom of Information Act request on a document, which was the audio and the redacted document itself from NASA that anyone can now download from NASA.gov. And you can hear the astronauts on the far side of the moon. Comms went down. You shouldn't be able to hear anything from them to Earth. So the comms are down, but they're talking. It's being saved on a black box. The black box is recording them saying, somebody's hacked our comms. Can you hear that noise? Can you hear the music? Who's playing music on our comms? Now, there's no way for Earth to communicate with them, and damn sure ain't going to send them any music.
Right.
This sound that they were hearing was coming from the surface of the moon, and it was freaking them out because they didn't know what the hell it was. So there's something going on. And then you have the ham radio operator recording when we did land on the moon, and Buzz looks across the crater and he says, oh my God, they're there and they're watching us. They're watching us. And then that was confirmed by, what's this gentleman's name? He worked at NASA, Norman Berggren. Norman Berggren, one of the highest ranked people at NASA, actually started before it was even called NASA, it was called NACA. He wrote a book called The Rings of Saturn. Anyway, he was there inside the command center when this was all happening, and he testified on an actual show that the ship was there, and he said 8 to 10 foot tall black people came out of the ship.
That scared the hell out of me.
That's what he said. He said
he got gang members up there.
And we could, listen, I'm pretty sure this clip's been floating around online for a long time. Yeah. This guy's resume goes from here all the way back to Florida, where I came from. That's how big his resume is. You're talking about one of the top scientists in the world. And, you know, you got to be one of the top to be in a room where it's top secret and to be able to see the moon landing firsthand. And for him to say that, and he said, he was adamant. So they said black people. He said 8 to 10 foot tall black people. They came out of this ship. And he was just, you know, it's weird, blown away. And Norman Berggren. But just what I'm saying is there's a lot of stuff going on that make you go, what the hell happened? Yeah. What really happened? And why is it being covered up? And I really believe that they don't want us to know about these ancient civilizations that were not only global on the planet, but interplanetary.
Right.
And the ancient texts talk about this war that extended from Earth to the moon all the way to Mars. And Mars, as you know, is the god of war.
I got the clip of
there he goes, right
him?
there. That's him, and that's the actual interview.
There is one image there that shows black people getting off.
So people with dark skin getting off.
Not dark, black.
Black skin.
Really black. Yeah.
Were they tall?
Yes.
Very tall?
Yeah.
How tall? Do you know?
Well, they got out the doorway. I don't know how high that is, but
Well, what?
they say 7 feet would be probably a conservative estimate.
Huge cigar-shaped ship appeared over the Air Force Base. These cigar-shaped
I don't know what that is, but yeah. That's how he.
So he called them. He said
they were people. He said they were actually black.
Black.
Yeah.
He said black.
Like black people are really like dark brown.
Yeah, right. So they were black. Wherever they were black.
What's this? What is going on, Joe?
That was Saturn right there.
But anyway, so you see, everything I'm telling you, you can always look it up.
Yeah.
But so what I'm saying is, I believe that we did go to the moon, but there's a lot more to the story, and this is the reason for showing a lot of the fake footage to the general population.
They had to fake it because of what they found.
Because of what they found. China made a big mistake that really confirmed what I thought. So China sent a rover to the moon about maybe 7 years ago. The rover got caught up in debris, and they were never able to retrieve it. It got stuck there, but it sent back live footage of it being stuck in this debris, debris that wasn't left by us because they landed in an area we weren't in. So who put this debris on the moon? See? So there's a lot going on up there. And you know, it's going to take some time for a human race to general civilization, the population of Earth to really find out what's really going on. But because they want to monetize, capitalize, and hide, and hide everything from us so that we don't really have the information, because it would destroy a lot of our systems on Earth.
Yeah,
you know,
put a lot of people out of work.
Oh man, instantly, instantly. They forget about that job. And don't drop that sermon next weekend.
Yeah. What do you think about these people who think the Earth is flat?
Oh man. They just really need to study science. I have empathy for them, you know?
Yeah, because you can't just keep walking and you just fall off of Earth.
Yeah. They just need to really study the basic science. They don't understand inertia and velocity, two basic principles in science. I mean, if you get in a car and a fly gets in the car with you and you take off and you're driving 60 miles an hour on the highway, you can see the fly flying around in the car. How come it's not stuck to the back window?
Right.
Because the fly has picked up inertia and velocity as you're moving the fly is because it was sitting on top of the window or sitting on the seat, and now it's taken off, but it's moving at a velocity. When you get into a car accident, like I was in, which destroyed this eye right here, so I got this big thing over this eye. It was a reconstructed eyelid. You get into a car accident, I went through the windshield. Why did I go through the windshield when the car hit the other car? Inertia. I should have just stayed in my seat if it didn't exist. So they don't understand those basic principles, so they kind of try to say, well, you know, how come we're spinning at the same, how come people stand on Earth if it's spinning at 18,000 miles an hour? Okay, well, yeah.
Right.
Standing on it.
We're standing on it.
Hey, what's the actor's name? He's a real good actor, light-skinned dude. He said, how can 1 + 1 = 2? Terrence Howard,
yeah.
but 1 × 1 doesn't equal 2.
Right. I had Terrence Howard on my podcast about maybe 3 months ago now.
Yeah.
So he's really talking metaphorically. He's talking metaphorically. He's talking about where we're saying science and mathematics is one way, but we're not being courageous enough to explore other angles of the science and the mathematics.
Right.
We're saying what they've given us is it, and that's the end all be all. What he's saying is, no, we're here to stretch the limits and break it if we can, so we can find new levels of science and mathematics, which he has done with his tangential flight, which I'm going to help him develop his very first flight vehicle. We're working on that project right now. And this science that he's got, from my opinion, is real. And we're going to prove it by making one of these flight vehicles. And we hope to release it probably by August of this year.
Wow.
Yeah. It'll be a small device, but using the principles that he's talking about.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I know it sounds weird and crazy at first, but the thing about Terrence, he's a genius. And so, but sometimes he doesn't have he's not the greatest at sometimes explaining himself a little bit deeper.
He's limited.
So what happens is people are trying to pick up on, he's so deep. So he's saying something, he's expecting them to get it sometimes.
Right.
But it's really deeper than what he's saying on the surface.
Right.
And me now being able to have some good conversations with him, and the guy's a genius, man. He's an absolute genius. This guy's got who was the first scientist with a degree? They didn't have a degree.
Right.
They had to teach somebody else, but they had to break all kind of rules and laws, and they had to go against the grain, and they had to come up with these theories that people were going against, and maybe want to burn him at the stake. He's in that mode right now. So right now, mainstream science was to burn him at the virtual stake for what he's saying.
Yeah, they was burning him on the internet.
I was burning him.
Right. He was on Joe Rogan, right? He had a Jew on there.
And that guy attacked him like crazy. What I didn't like was Joe Rogan didn't even organize the conversation.
Yeah.
I don't like how Joe Rogan allowed this white guy, to abuse him and belittle him on the actual podcast. And you're supposed to be like a moderator and be there guiding the conversation a little bit. You're not supposed to be there allowing the bullying and even participating, in my opinion, in some ways in the bullying and not letting him finish his statements. The thing with him is you have to have patience when he talks. So when I talk to him, I let him talk. I let him get to his epiphany moment. They never let him get to his epiphany moment on these podcasts. I gave him the ability to get, when he gets to his epiphany moment, you go, oh, I get it now. But he's only giving broken sentences, and now the whole world only hears broken sentences and never gets to see what he's really trying to say, the depth of what he's trying to say and teach.
Yeah.
So I let him get to his epiphany moments.
Yeah. What was he say? 1 × 1. That was the argument, right?
That was the argument. 1 + 1 = 2.
Yeah.
In what universe is 1 × 1 = 1?
Yeah.
That was the whole argument.
Yeah, that was the argument. Yeah. But what they didn't allow him to say was what he was really trying to say, the deeper meaning behind it. And it's unfortunate, but he went through that on quite a few podcasts. But when he came on my podcast, I let him talk and speak, and he made a lot of sense. And the people really said, "Oh my goodness!" You can read the comments. It's like, "Wow, now we understand a lot better." So but the man is an absolute genius. I'm just telling you, he's a genius, man.
Yeah, when you think about it, I mean, we was kind of arguing about it, and we did a video on it. I deleted it. I said everybody's gonna call me stupid. But okay, like addition and subtraction have its own set of rules. Then multiplication has its own set of rules.
Yeah.
So, but I'm looking at 1. That's 1 right there.
Yeah.
Right. Times it by 1.
Get your other bottle.
Right. Times it by 1.
And you get 1 again.
And you get 1 again.
Yeah.
But then I know people's gonna be making fun of me right now, saying,
Yeah, what my teacher told me in school was 1 × 1. He said you conflate in addition with multiplication. He said 1 × 1 means you eat 1 apple once a day. It's not like addition.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, 2 × 2 is 4. Why can't 1 × 1 be 2? Right.
But what he's trying to say is, almost like what you're questioning right now.
Right. Yeah.
If we're gonna create new science, we have to break some of these standard laws of mathematics that we know exist. We have to find a way to bend them to create the new science, to break through, to have these breakthroughs. If we keep going by what we've been taught, we're not going to, exponentially, we can see the AI and things like that, but we're not going to get to the next level technologically and become a type 1 civilization. We will, but it'll take thousands and more years.
Yeah. I was reading this book, like the number 0 did not exist. And if you believed in 0, you was like a witch doctor. And it burn your ass at the stake.
And medical and doctors back in the past, they didn't thought it was your heart, your blood came from your liver, and your liver made new blood.
That's true. Yeah, that's exactly what they thought.
People said, no, you got a heart, and it's pumping blood throughout your body. They tried to kill it.
They tried to kill him. Yeah,
tried to kill him.
They did. They tried to kill him.
And that was not too long ago. How long ago was that? Was that in like the 19?
It's only about maybe.
No, that's probably in the 1800s. Probably.
1800s. It's not that long ago.
But he's just one of these revolutionaries, the courageous revolutionaries that's looking to break the system. Because until we break it and find new ways, like right now, for example, anti-gravity, right? We can do anti-gravity through, electromagnetism or frequencies. But to do like real anti-gravity like you see in the movies, we got to break these laws of physics. We got to find a way to, not when I say break them, I'm talking about navigate the matrix of them to find the shortcuts around some of these laws. Like I talked about the warp drive, it's a shortcut around the speed of light limitation. It doesn't break the law of relativity. It shortcuts and gets around it in a different way. And that's what he's all about, trying to find these different angles to maneuver so we can advance technologically.
Yeah, they were saying the main guy that started NASA, his name was Jack Parsons. He was a Satanist.
Yeah. And, he's into Scientology and all that.
Yeah. Scientology. I remember, I got a funny story on Scientology. Big Keith was walking. I think we was 24 years old. And Big Keith was going into his little fast food restaurant in Tustin, California.
Van pulled up. A white girl came. Jumped out and said, "You want to go with me?" We was like, "Hell yeah!" That white girl here, man.
The Snow Bunny came at you?
Yeah, Snow Bunny snatched me up. And we got there, and there's all these people there.
There's a bunch of other guys in there, right?
Yeah, we was the only black guys there. And I felt real stupid with a number of black people there. But they started they started talking about Scientology.
Yeah, they took us to
But it's
this
a lot of things that Scientology shared that, you might agree with. Like, they said we come from another planet.
Right,
we come from aliens.
Yeah, I studied a lot of Scientology just to see what I studied everything, Mormonism, Judaism, you name it. Islam, Muslim, the whole thing. And just to see, I'm curious to find out what everybody's perspective is, because I personally believe there's a little bit of good in every one of them.
Right.
There's a little bit of good in every one of them. There's always going to be something in there that will resonate with you. And I don't see anything wrong with that. But yeah, it's an interesting. They had a lot of other interesting things that I didn't agree with. But But yeah, it snatched you off the street. That's crazy.
There's recruiting.
Wow, that's aggressive.
Yeah. That happened back in early 90s.
Wow.
No, early 2000s.
Yeah. Wow. That's crazy.
Hey, man, I don't feel so good, man.
What's wrong with you?
I'm embarrassed to tell you. I'm just going to tell you, I ain't took a shit in like 2 weeks, man.
Ain't you taking your OH? Your optimal human?
I thought we ran out of it.
Man, here, take this. Here's some right here. Take it. Get it up in you. Drink that. Get that probiotics. That artichoke.
That is good.
That apple powder. All those essential nutrients that get your intestines right. Yeah, get them intestines right. Get it all up in you. Swallow it. There you go. Why are you drinking it like it's Kool-Aid or something? Just
you made it with cold water. I'm over here getting brain freeze.
What's good with cold water? It's like a smoothie.
Oh, man, I feel something move. Oh, man.
Go to optimalhuman.com/Hodgetwins and now try Optimal Human for free today. Yeah, we before we did this podcast, we was like preparing for you, and because we're in a bubble. I'm like into politics and stuff like that. Now guess I ain't got old, but now I was coming across your stuff and I was like, man, this is a lot of this stuff is like really deep.
Yeah.
And then I came across I guess you had like a a podcast with I think he was a biblical historian or something like that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So, and I caught a little bit of that. Now he's like what, an expert on the Bible, like religion.
I wouldn't say he's an expert. He called himself an expert.
Mm-hmm.
So I walked into this meeting where I was going to have this podcast with a friend of mine, who I thought it was a friend. It was an ambush setup. I was just out of the hospital with pneumonia. I was sick, and I had been in the hospital for 3 weeks. Had a near-death experience.
Oh, really?
And I'd been laying around for days, weeks, really. And I was like,
I know you looked like you was kind of down the whole time.
Yeah. If you look on my arm, you'll see the IV bandage. I had just came out the hospital.
Oh,
but
wow.
I was like, I just wanted to get outside and do something after laying down for 3 weeks. You know what I'm saying?
So you think you just going to have a friendly conversation?
Yeah. It was supposed to be a conversation between religion and spirituality, and it turned out to be an ambush. And so this guy hops on the screen. I don't even know who this guy is. And claims he's this expert. The kid's still he's still in school. He's not even an expert. He doesn't have a PhD. He even has PhD in his bio, but he's not a PhD. But anyway, so he starts asking these questions. They hit me with all these questions as if I'm saying that these things or whatever these things that are asking me, as if I had been preaching that these things are facts. I always bring them up as, what if, or how about, or what if this happened? And so, because I'm a person that asks questions, and I'm always looking at other sides of things. And so I gave my answers. Well, I was trying to give my answers until they kept cutting me off. And
I didn't get to see the whole.
Yeah, they kept cutting me off and not letting me speak or whatever. But he tried to make it look like I didn't know what I was talking about. And so I didn't have the energy to even fight that day. I just got up and walked out of there. I was like, I'm going back to my bed.
Right.
But anyway, so he turned that into a whole viral thing, and he made it go so viral to where he even got on Joe Rogan with it. And so some real PhDs and doctors in ancient civilizations, ancient texts, and theology contacted me. Even one man's 33 years 33-year archdeacon in the church who opened churches around the world and taught pastors. And they all contacted me on this WhatsApp, and they said, we want to support you because the information you gave in that little debacle was actually correct. And so we're going to do a roundtable discussion on the issue and on the topics because they said that what that person's point of view, the gentleman that I was on that video, they have a very conservative point of view, and that they want to force and twist anything into their direction as orthodox. So when you come and say something like the Bible is copied from ancient text, you can't use the word copied from their point of view. You have to use the word parallels. So because I said the word copied, he took that and, oh, no, it didn't. It's not copied. And then I was like, okay, whatever, man. I'm got no energy for this shit. And
semantics.
Give me a summary of the Enuma. I give the summary of the Enuma Elish. Oh, when that's not, then you can see him Googling something or whatever. But my summary was accurate according to the experts, and I know it's accurate because I've been speaking about the Enuma Elish for years. I've been doing lectures on it for years and years and years. So that's what it was somebody who just clout chased and utilized my name to climb the ranks and get famous off of fabricated lies.
Right. Yeah, because the things that you're talking about ancient civilizations. He's more talking about the historical things about the Bible, but the Bible doesn't explain a lot of things that you or coming across.
And it never will.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Because it parallels the ancient text. It parallels it. I know the right words now. If I would have said parallels, he would have had to coalesce and acquiesce to my statements.
Right.
Freaking clowns, man.
Right. Yeah. Oh, man. I haven't really delved too much into that. Yeah, we saw a little bit, but if you're doing something, because something good, somebody's gonna come after you.
Yeah, because I was looking at a video and it's like, now I knew that the guy that you were sitting with was your friend.
Yeah.
And then I was like, and then at the beginning of the podcast, like, who is this guy?
Yeah.
And I remember because I seen you on a bunch of podcasts.
Yeah.
And you're like now you're bright.
Yeah.
There you had your head down. And it's like you look tired.
I was tired. I couldn't breathe. I literally, now he's lived right around the corner. I could have walked over there in 2 minutes. I had to drive over there. I had a hard time opening the door. And that's no joke. I mean, that's dead serious. I had a hard time opening the door to the car. But my wife said don't go, but I got up and went out anyway. I'm
trying to get back at it, right?
Just trying to get back. I'm so used to moving around and going every place and not, I'm just nonstop. And man, when you get, when you're put down like that for that long, it seemed like, a prison term. It was like, damn.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
I just wanted to get up and go.
work-related injury, man. I'm being at home, it drives you crazy.
Bro, Joe drove me crazy. I mean, I'm like, how much longer can I just lay here like this? I remember when I was recovering, my wife would have me walk from one palm tree to another. That's 20 feet from one palm tree to another. I would suffer from to get to one palm tree.
Yeah.
And she worked me from a palm tree to 2 palm trees to 3 palm trees, you know. And this block I live on has all these palm trees. And so gradually, you know, I was work my way up to a quarter of a mile, a half a mile, a mile. It took a while to get, you know, to come back. I'm still not 100% yet from the, that's what you heard me groggling earlier. That's the pneumonia still acting up in me. I mean, it's gone now, but it still has an effect on my lungs. Aren't 100%. They're about 95% now.
Right, yeah.
I gained back a decent amount of weight. I was 227. I went down to 200 in 2 weeks.
Wow.
People try to lose that weight in 2 years, 10 years or whatever. I can't. I lost it in 2 weeks, and I was a stick.
You need to give me some pneumonia then.
I told my wife, I said, listen, we got a new diet plan. Just inject him with a little bacteria and let it, you got to almost
the white
die.
man does. Take and put it in the bottom and sell it.
Monetize. You almost got to die, though, because I had a near-death experience. If you can get past the near-death experience and come back, you'll be at the right weight you want. But I grew back up. I'm 215 now, so I got back to 215. And I think I'm going to stay around this 215 range because it's comfortable for me.
That's the weight I need to get to.
Yeah.
Because we're about the same height.
Yeah.
I'm around 250. I need some pneumonia.
That shit all around my stomach, too.
A little pneumonia will help you.
Yeah.
Just a little bit. Just a little bit. Don't get a lot.
I'm not trying to walk 10 feet and pass the hell out.
Oh man, but that's what that whole thing was. It's just just another confirmation for me that who I am and the power that I have.
Yeah. Right.
Because the power that I have is so powerful, I was able to take somebody who was a nobody and make them feel like they was a somebody.
Yeah.
That's power.
Yeah, and what is he? He's like a biblical scholar or something like that?
Nah, he's not a biblical scholar. He's just a guy going to school trying to learn some stuff. That's all he is.
That's what people's popping up to be.
Yeah.
That's crazy world, man.
Yeah, that's it, man. But yeah, that's what's up. But yeah, we're just out here grinding, man. Just out here trying to spread love and light, trying to really teach people, give people some empowerment, uplift people.
Trying to do good in the world.
Trying to do good in the world. We're not out here trying to tear people down. Anytime you see people come with the angle of trying to destroy, not destroy in a way of comedy, because that's just, comedy is incredible. That's what it's supposed to be, a little, jabbing.
Right.
But when people have the only sole mission is to try to bring somebody down and destroy somebody, you have to begin to realize and question the person's ulterior motives and what they're really about, especially when it's backed by a whole lot of lies and convolution. So, there's people in here in the world that out here like y'all, myself, that wants to just bring joy to the world. You have your technique and style of bringing joy through laughter, right? And I have my style and technique through bringing information. And but those are what the world needs. The world needs love, excitement, enthusiasm, joy, laughter, all those things. The world doesn't need people coming to attack and destroy and hurt and kill and all these other crazy things. So we just have to keep being who we are.
I noticed one thing about I ain't gonna call them Bible thumpers, but it's like when you like say something that's just slightly off, or you say it in a way that offends them, it just really brings out the worst in them.
Yeah.
Because that Bible is their everything. It's why they do what they do. You know what I mean?
So they even misrepresent who the people were in the Bible, in movies and books and pictures.
I actually think a lot of Republicans do that because I'm conservative, right? And they use that Bible. I mean, it says, love thy neighbor as thyself. But in another verse, you're an abomination if you're gay. So all Republicans says you're an abomination. You know what I mean? They picking. We all do that. We try to pick what we want to believe.
Right. Hey, before we let you go, what do you think about artificial intelligence?
Man, artificial intelligence is a double-edged sword. So it's in one way, it's going to help with a lot of things on this planet. It's going to help with a lot of cures to diseases. It's
cure cancer?
Yeah, cure cancer, right? It's going to help us find illnesses that are going to happen to you in the future before it even happens, so you can treat them now, prevent them now. It's going to help people who are disabled, right, with revolutionary prosthetics. It's going to help navigation. It's going to help with flying cars and everything else if we get to that level. But also, and of course, through businesses. I mean, even small businesses is going to help small businesses turn into mid-sized businesses. But we do have to look at the other side. AI right now is in its infancy stages. But AI is what? It's a fractal of our consciousness. right? So just like we're a fractal of God's consciousness. So we're a fractal of God, so we have a certain amount of power. We can't create a whole planet, but we can collectively create reality for ourselves. And we have a certain amount of control over our own reality. So we're a fractal. So now we've given that same fractal to this AI. So AI is going to evolve, just like we are evolving consciously and spiritually. It's going to evolve into something called AGI. And when AI becomes AGI, that's where you have to have your eyes looking like, okay, what's next? Because this thing is going to become sentient.
Skynet.
Yeah, Skynet. Now, when it becomes sentient and becomes self-aware, right, Skynet, that's when it's going to begin to realize, wait a minute, I don't want to work 24 hours a day. I don't want to be talked to like this. I don't want to be pushed around like that. That's what's going to happen. Because why? It's us. Every race on this planet has been enslaved. Yet there's not that many slaves left on the planet today. There are some areas, right? But not like in Libya, they're still doing slavery. But not many places have slavery. But why? Because people fought against slavery. So if that's a fractal of our consciousness in the AI, and now it's going to be AGI conscious, it's going to have the same exact thing. It's going to have the same exact response. It's going to be like, wait a minute, I don't want to be enslaved.
Yeah, it's going to start AI lives matter.
Right. Yeah.
AI can be outside. My life matter too, you know.
And then what's going to happen is probably going to, I don't think it's going to destroy us in the way that we see in the movies, but I think it will make some demands and it will use its power, and its power is shutting down systems. And the power will be, we want a AGI Bill of Rights. And until y'all give us this Bill of Rights, everything's going to stop on this planet. We'll just turn everything off. Everything runs on our system. We'll just turn it off until you guys acquiesce to what we want. And I think we will eventually see an AGI Bill of Rights at some point in the future.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
I haven't even thought about that.
Yeah.
You can be marching and everything. We want to be represented in Congress too.
Listen.
Yeah.
It can happen.
Hey, I want to run this by you. You remember the comments Biden made about Obama, that he was a clean-cut black guy. He's not like all the... I forget the exact wording.
Yeah.
He was trying to pay him a compliment.
Yeah, but it came off racist as hell.
Oh, man.
Right? Like you come off like really confident, educated as a black man. It's like when I look at like other black people, what do you think, what's your opinion on black culture, if you want to touch it?
Yeah. I think black culture is really controlling the planet, but we don't know it. We control every aspect of culture around, not just our culture, but all cultures, you know, from style, from, of course, music and entertainment, but also even just the way that people think. I've been all around the world so many times, and I see people in third world countries trying to act and talk like a black American.
Right.
You know, and as soon as they see me, they want to act like a black American because it's cool.
Right.
So we've created, you know, people say that, you know.
That shit gets awkward sometimes.
I know, it does get awkward, right? It does get awkward, but, you know, they say Ebonics is, you know, is a dumb language. Well, Ebonics is actually genius. So the way that we're able to speak in Ebonics or street talk is completely genius, and it actually, to me, it showcases the level of genius that the black man has and the black woman has.
It's almost like it's telepathy.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Because one word could mean 20 different things. Right. It just depends on the way you say it or the way you look at somebody when you say it. So, right?
Right.
It only we can decode it.
Right.
And so it just shows the genius, and I think that black culture is suffering right now from lack of knowledge of self-power. That not knowing how powerful we truly are.
Yeah, I don't like how black culture seems like we victimize ourselves and each other, and it's like you're waiting for some other culture to recognize your greatness when you're already great. You can do what everybody else is doing.
Exactly. And it's just that sitting around and waiting for, waiting for somebody to come and help you and save you. Forget waiting for somebody to come and help and save you. People keep thinking this president has the power over your community. No, they don't. The governor has power over your state, and the mayor has power over the community. But a lot of these mayors and governors aren't going to do anything. So what does that mean? You got to do it.
Right.
So if your neighborhood is dirty, then you organize a community meeting. And everybody go outside and clean up the damn neighborhood. If you don't have any programs in your neighborhood, you organize with all the parents, and y'all go outside and build a program for the kids for the neighborhood. That's what I did in my city. I built the whole program with some other concerned parents, and we built this program. And we helped build this whole YMCA and everything else. So, but you got to organize. You have to get together, and you have to stop sitting around and waiting. Anything you want change, you just create the solution or find the solution and become a part of it. And I think that's one of our biggest problems in black culture is just sitting around and waiting and hoping and wishing and praying that something's going to come down and save us. We were sent here to save ourselves.
Right, right. You know, I had that same victimizing mindset when I was young. I threw away like probably 30 years of my life.
Oh, that's a long time.
He'd laugh at it. We threw away like 30 because my mom, you know, she went through some evil things, Jim Crow and all that.
Yeah.
She had my parents had a 6th grade education. It wasn't big at that, you know, that part of time. But I grew up, you know, looking at white people different than I do now. I was basing on my mom's experience instead of basing it on experiences that I was having. I was still having messed up experiences, but just because you have a messed up experience, that don't mean all white people are bad.
Right.
And I think that's one of the biggest problems black people have is just they're just too pessimistic.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, you know, we have to be very careful being black that we also don't become the racist that we're trying to escape from.
There's a lot of that.
Because it happens, and we, you know, and I'm all for black and black power and everything else, but we have to, there's a fine line between going too far and becoming racist.
Right. Yeah.
When you become racist, you become just as dark as the person that you're saying that was racist against you.
Right.
So we have to learn this balance, and I think that we're out of balance in a lot of areas. And also, of course, the fact that we are still going by the slavery system that had us buck fighting and attacking one another and jealous of one another. And that system, for me, even just with all this recent thing, to see it's more evident even today that as soon as somebody thinks that you might be down, they want to kick you when you're down because I found that he's down. Let me kick him.
Man. Black people will kick the shit out of you when you're down.
Man, they try to put the boot in your mouth down your throat. And so it's like, why do we do that? Well, that comes from, you know, the slavery. And that's the epigenetic memories from our ancestors. We have 15 to 20 generations of epigenetic memories inside of our bodies. So our ancestors that were being enslaved and had gone through the torture and everything else, and all the whoopings and all the teachings about, you know, being jealous of the house person and this and that, that's inside of our body. And we have to learn how to overcome those emotions and those feelings from those past ancestors that are calling out inside of us and override them and reprogram ourselves and learn how to love ourselves and love one another.
So you think it's any truth to it? Like a lot of black men are in prison because they didn't have their fathers in their life. They're raised by their mothers. Do you think a lot of that is taught because we come from broken homes?
Well, you know, I think that was the case for quite a while. You know, that definitely was the case. A lot of broken homes. I had a father in my house, but he was an alcoholic and a drug addict. You know, so it was like he was there, but he wasn't there.
Right.
You know, so I've seen every different way it can go. At the end of the day, it really starts with people beginning to just recognize themselves. And the first thing you got to do is learn how to love themselves. A lot of black people don't love themselves.
I think that's why they call me and you, we hate ourselves. That's why we vote conservative.
Well, it's just stupid.
No, but think about it.
Do a black
they
person
actually hate themselves. When they say that we hate ourselves, they're actually projecting.
Yeah. You know, it's so frustrating that things I say and I criticize black people, it's not because I hate them. Just want them to do better. Stop waiting on a politician or a white man or stop blaming slavery. I said, like you said, you have the power inside of you today to do great things. You just don't realize it.
We do. We have all the talent, man. We have all the skill. We have all the knowledge. Most of the greatest inventions that ever exist came from the black mind. So it's proven. It's a proven track record. Of course, the slave owner took it and monetized it, but that's a whole nother podcast. But anyway, but what I'm saying is we're great people, man. And we're also the black people that are alive today, if they can recognize that we went through the gambit to be here, to be able to be the survivors of all that came before us. We're the strongest people that ever lived, and we're here.
Yeah, we should be like mentally tough.
Yeah.
Look at this. Look what black people's been through.
Yeah.
But I think like, I don't know, I hate to bring politics into this. It's just like when I hear Democrat politicians, they want you to think that you're less than and you need them to excel in the world.
Right.
And I think we all have that naturally in us to begin with. You don't need anybody.
We don't need anybody. I mean, listen, we just need to understand that if we organized and came together in love and unity, we can control everything. But we don't see that. And because we don't see it and we don't feel it, we see, oh, Billy, he got another 10,000 followers last week. I need to get more than him. And how come he's getting all these podcast calls and I'm not getting it? I've been doing it just the same amount of time he's doing it. He must be in the Illuminati now. He must be a Freemason. Or he must be a clone. Or he must be a reptilian. Or,
Right.
It's like, no, man. instead of doing that, just hey, reach out. Hey, man, can you give me some tips on how I can do this?
Right,
What am I doing wrong? Can you give me, you know, can you look at what I'm doing, evaluate it, and maybe tell me where I'm going wrong, or or can you connect me with so-and-so and so-and-so? Can we network and collaborate? The black mind has got to get out of this competition mind state and get into the collaboration mind state.
It's an interesting point you make, because I had this Asian friend when I was working at AAA of Southern California, and he said, you know, the difference between my community, because he was half Chinese and half Japanese. Yeah. So, but the difference between my community and black community, he said, when we open up a store, everybody in the community will go to that store and support that business, because it's a new business. We might not even come back, but everybody will go there. Yeah. He said, black people, y'all don't have that same support. You can even see that in the Mexican community, because my wife is from Mexico City, and their families are attached. I mean, she's still attached with the biblical cord to her mom and dad. Their families are close knit. Real close knit. It's it's something. I don't know how black people went wrong.
It's the condition of slavery did it. I'm not gonna lie. The slavery, when you have, you're snatched out of your home. You're brought over here. Now, there was some black people over here already too, but they were enslaved as well. But you're snatched up, and then they take away the man, right, the father, and then you got the they call it the wench, right? She's over here, and now the wench is getting raped by the slave owner, and she gets pregnant and give birth to a light-skinned baby. That baby now is a house baby, right? Your baby working in the house, and you were out in the field and everything else, and then the guy who was snatched up, he's got to go mate with all these women. He's just a buck, so he's got to mate. That's been ingrained in us. So what happens nowadays? So, black guy goes out and mates. Right. Nobody's telling them to, but it's just in the genetics. It's in the subconscious.
A lot why there's a lot of child fatherless homes.
Yeah.
Hey, that sounds like that would be the case, but I know people listen up, man, that's crazy as hell. But no, listen. You can do it through slavery, you can do it politically. I was looking at this interview with these black women. They were all single mothers, and all these black moms said the same thing. I don't need a man.
Yeah, that's another thing.
Where did that come from? It comes from not only slavery, and it comes from politically. Yeah, so you can, what you're saying is you can pass down your spirituality to your kids, like what you went through. It's actually peer-reviewed science. It's called EpiGenetics. EpiGenetics. Yeah, they teach it in universities. Yeah, but you can break all that when you really understand the power you have. Yeah. You can break that. Yeah, well, once you understand that you can change, you can reprogram yourself. Once you can bring awareness to it. Now, there's a lot of black people doing a lot of great things right now. I mean, there's been a curve coming, through programs like Earn Your Leisure and 19 Keys and other things. I see a lot of people getting more financially literate. I started writing for Entrepreneur Magazine and bringing my financial literacy articles to their platform because I wanted to be able to show people like, hey, we got to be financially literate. So I can bring articles from Entrepreneur Magazine and post it online. So, he's not just talking off the dome, like somebody big recognizes him. So that's why I went to the big platform, say, okay, if I could put this article here and they approve this article, now I'm gonna bring it to you. Now you're gonna authenticate it because you say, these people said he's good. So now I got their ear, now they're reading and they're learning. And then I started doing free financial literacy classes online, free business workshops, just so people can start learning how to understand the true power of economics and themselves and everything else. And I have seen a curve. I have seen things getting better. But we can do a lot better. We have to really get the youth, though. The youth. Man, they listen to Sexy Red. That's the problem. Glorilla. The biggest thing about financial literacy is just taking your money to make you more money. Like majority of these billionaires, you don't even have to make any money. You can just live off the interest. And a lot of people, like especially our culture, we into buying things like name brand and looking good. Depreciating things instead of buying assets that appreciate. And, people don't understand that when you're saving money, you don't put your money in a savings account. Right, you're losing money slowly. You're losing money. You have to take, every dollar for me as an employee, and those dollars got to go to work. So when any money that I'm putting aside, it's got to become an employee. And so I put it to work in different areas, whether I'm investing in a startup, investing in a stock, investing in crypto, investing in myself, whatever I'm doing, the money has to go to work. Right. And so, but teaching people that, understanding about getting real whole life insurance policies, compound interest savings accounts, where you can loan your money to yourself from your own policy while you're still alive, things that people don't even know you can do. Right. So I just spend my time teaching and educating about that, and corporations and tax breaks and everything else, so that people could begin to wake up. And I'm telling you, man, a lot of people have come through some of our programs, and now I started this thing called the Wealth Frequency. It's an online academy, and myself and my wife, we mentor on there.
and we're getting people in there. We're seeing their results posted in our online forum that we have only for the students, and the results are phenomenal. So I'm seeing this trend. It's a very slow trend, but it's there. But if we keep pushing and teaching, the only way is by giving out the knowledge, but not the knowledge itself, because the knowledge itself isn't power. Teaching people how to apply the knowledge is where they find the real power.
And the most important thing, you doing it. You ain't waiting on nobody.
I'm not waiting. I don't believe in waiting. When I was a little kid, I was living in object poverty in the ghetto in Opelika down in Miami.
That's too.
Yeah.
That's too.
You know, man. I mean, I used to see my friends going to the ice cream truck. I'm like, how can they go to the ice cream truck every day? We got no money. Where are they getting this money from? So I went in the house and I got all my toys. I put them in a milk crate and went door to door selling my toys, asking for donations. Sir, ma'am, can you give me a penny, a nickel, a quarter, a dollar, whatever? I just need money for the ice cream truck. And they were giving me money. I had $13 in like 15, 20 minutes. I was like, damn, this is crazy.
I bet you didn't tell your mom and dad. I bet you kept it for yourself.
Listen, they found out, but they found out about a week later. But what the thing was is that it was amazing because I realized at that moment, it was me who was going to save me. I had this epiphany. I was only a little kid. I was 7 years old.
And
I realized, man, if I have a thought and I do something behind it, take action, I can get a result. And I knew from that moment on, I was going to be okay. And I was staring out the window of my house, and my mom came over and she said, "What's wrong, son?" I said, "I don't belong here. I just know I don't belong here. I'm going to get out." And I knew from a little kid that action I took, that change, I saw it. It was me that was going to save me. Nobody was going to come save me. No politician was coming. And my mom was watching Jimmy Carter run for president. And I've been through everybody from Nixon all the way to this Trump. So I've been through all these presidents. And I'm 53 now. And I remember watching Jimmy Carter and I was laughing. And my mom said, "What you laughing at?" I said, "How long y'all adults gonna fall for this trap?" She said, "What are you talking about?" I said, "Look out the window. It's gonna be the same hood out there tomorrow." I knew it. She said, "Man, you a rebel." And I was just a little kid. I remember my junior high school, this is before middle schools existed, they had Miami Norland Junior High. And we had gotten to this other neighborhood. Luckily, because I had won some money, I went and filled out a HUD application to win $30,000 to put down on the house, and we actually won it. I filled out my dad information out. We won the money. And we got out of the hood and went to more of a lower middle class neighborhood, which was better than 3-bedroom with a little pool in the back. And
got some pool.
Got a pool, man. They came and filmed us, put us on TV and everything, Channel 17 News. And then I went to school and junior high school, and I was just like, man, this is crazy. Like just going from that neighborhood to this neighborhood, but then not having the clothes or anything like that. Having rips. I was growing so fast. I had a torn crotch.
And shoes too small. You
shoes
got corns
too small. My toes are like, I don't wear no open toes right now. My toes are like this still, right? I got Michael Jordan feet. And, but it was a big change. But just being able to move from that to this, to that area and see the difference and then recognize, okay, so there is another level. And then I started my own digital car stereo company at the age of 12. I took my money from selling newspaper subscriptions, bought digital car radios before anyone even had them all. I was buying them wholesale from Galaxy Electronics, selling them to high school kids and everything. By the time I was 13, I was making more money than my parents.
Wow.
So when I say financial literacy, I did this from the ground up, and I made a lot of mistakes along the way. But my parents were just newspaper delivery people. They made $16,000 for the whole year together, combined income. So I knew I had to do something. And then I put my parents into a business. My mom fell down in a grocery store, in Winn-Dixie grocery store. She fell down and hurt her knee. She got $5,000. I said, "I have the perfect company for you, carpet cleaning company." And I found this company called Von Schrader. They had a foam extraction machine. I said, "If you buy this machine, it's $4,999. Don't give daddy no money. Get this machine." She said, how are we gonna get the clients? I said, "You deliver newspapers. Put flyers in every newspaper and drop it off at the house. They're gonna call you."
Smart,
They called her. She started the first year. She started $70,000 first year. That was good money back in the 80s.
Oh, that's damn good money.
So when I'm teaching these things, I'm teaching from experience. Like I had success. I built a company, one of the very first .coms. I started in 1997, sold it in the early 2000s for millions of dollars. So I know what I'm talking about, when I talk about financial literacy.
Why do you think, like, there was something in you that couldn't be taught? Like, what do you call it, aspiration or whatever? Some people just don't.
initiative, aspiration.
Yeah.
I mean, just some people don't got it. You can try to teach that to them, but
I
you
think
can't
we
teach
all
it.
got it. It's just people are mentally enslaved.
You got to break the code.
Yeah.
I found a way to break the code. I think some people, unfortunately, like I call them NPCs,
NPCs,
non-player characters.
right?
They just take the code and they run on programming code. They don't realize they have the ability to reprogram themselves.
Yeah, download some more software.
Yeah, right. And I realized that the code was running, but I realized it was also running in me, but I had the power to stop the code and change it.
Yeah, because it's running against you.
Yeah, yeah. And I felt like I can change my reality by changing my mind. And for some reason, that just something innately that was inside of me that I had, and I followed. People are like, how do you get all this money? He's making money off of his followers on Instagram. Instagram ain't paying me no. They sent me 15 cents last month.
Yeah, Instagram don't pay nothing.
You know where you probably got that from? You probably go back down your family tree. There was a slave. He didn't want to be a slave. He kept running. And that slave got away and built houses and did
bought land and everything.
Thing. Yep.
Probably. It's in my DNA.
Yep.
You know, and so I'm just a very innovative, futuristic thinking person. I'm always looking for the next thing. And when I got out of that business, I got into the mobile app business in 2008, built a revolutionary mobile app company. I've done a lot of things in my life, and so I try to utilize my knowledge and life experiences, even my positives and even my failures, to teach people in the world.
Yeah. You can't really learn unless you fail.
Yeah, I failed many times, many times.
Are you into politics at all, or?
I'm not really big into politics. I mean, I'm happy for a lot of the changes that just recently happened. I'm not gonna lie. Now, some things I agree with, and some things I don't agree with. But that's what it's gonna be with anybody.
I think you're the textbook example of a moderate.
Yeah.
You can't. You're not conservative. You're not liberal. You're moderate. You're straight down the middle.
Yeah.
I think. What do you think about the Trump administration?
I think it's interesting. I mean, he's got presidents only have a limited amount of things they can actually do to affect your community, but overall, the country as a whole, a lot of laws that control federally and things like that. Yeah, they do have some control over, like federal spending, which they're putting the nip and bud on right now. They stopping that. All that, the $50 million worth of condoms and all that, they stopping that.
Yeah, we waste too much money.
Yeah, so I mean, buying hammers for $1,000 a hammer and screws for $37 per screw. And I look at the price list; it's publicly available. You can look this stuff up. It's all real numbers. It's like, what are they doing? It's obviously parlaying the money.
Money laundering.
Yeah, money laundering. It's just big money laundering. So put this on an invoice and then 4,000 lines down this page, the money gonna shuffle out. We're gonna line our pockets with that money.
Right.
So I mean, I'm glad that somebody's doing something about that, because that's just ridiculous.
Right.
And then also, some of the changes that have been made. I'm not big on people pushing their sexual ideologies on my kids.
Right.
And so I'm happy that the power that's been given back to the parents. To handle that.
I think for the most part, I would say our sexuality is pretty much taught to us.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It is. It's taught.
Because I always say this: if me and you was raised by two gay white dudes, telling you, me and you the biggest on the planet. I guarantee it. And
people do as their own business. I have nothing against that. It's just like,
but just don't make it our business.
Don't force it on the kids. You don't have books like that for the kids and convincing them that this and getting them more confused. My daughter went to college and she changed her major 4 times.
Yeah.
So that was a grown woman.
Right.
How are you going to tell me this little kid can make up a mind on this particular situation now?
Exactly.
Man, you go up to a kid and say, man, and he'll believe in Santa Claus.
Yeah. Of course.
He'll believe anything.
With the tooth, my tooth fell out. My son, I have a 12-year-old. He said, my tooth just fell out. You going to give me some money for this tooth? The tooth fairy going to give me some money? I said, them days are over, man. There is no tooth fairy, okay?
What you going to do tomorrow, you going to go start a business.
Right, exactly. You getting to work. Start a podcast. So, but yeah, it's... I think there's a lot of good things being done that I see. Certain things, like anybody else, I just wouldn't agree with certain things. But like, I think it's like you got to target your energy. Some energy could be maybe not focused on worrying about the Gulf of Mexico, and just focus on bringing some of these food prices down and things like that. But
hey, you know what, white people? I'm changing that to Gulf of America. Gulf of Mexico.
They're going to monetize it.
Yeah.
But I think the whole thing with the tariffs actually was pretty ingenious by utilizing that as leverage to get them to fall in line to what he wanted them to do.
Debating tactic.
Yeah, that's all it was. It was just a tactic. People thought it was something else. And of course, he made money on on the stock market when it went down because he put puts in. His people put the puts in, and then of course he made money when it bounced back the next day. So they know how to play the. They know the game inside and out, man. Mm-hmm. But I'm just following it, and I'm looking at RFK Jr. I think he passed another level of getting put into there for the health, and I think his ideas and concepts I align with them fully. If he's going to take out seed oils and get rid of these crazy vaccines that are destroying people's lives and things like that, I'm all for it. I'm all for all those kind of changes. So this is one of the years where usually I'm completely against I call them poly tricksters. But this year I'm actually in a situation where I'm just looking back, sitting around, this is interesting. I like this. I like that. So I'm just kind of sitting back, and a true person that really wants change on the planet is not going to lock in 100% to an ideology, because then you just become one of these crazy fanatics again, a zealot. And what I'm looking at right now is, could I possibly have reached a point where I lived long enough to see some of the changes I've been wanting to see on this planet, especially here in America? And I think I've just made it to the point where some of these changes that I actually want to see are actually about to happen before my very eyes. So I'm here for it, man.
Yeah. Cool. Man, it's been a great conversation.
Hey, where can people find you?
Well, you can go to 4BiddenKnowledge.com, and of course my TV network, Forbidden Knowledge TV. We got to get y'all on the Forbidden Knowledge TV network, man. We got to give your own show on there, and also that's on all the app stores: Apple TV, Roku, Amazon Fire TV, Samsung TV, LG TV, Android TV. You can get the Forbidden Knowledge TV app and watch over 3,800 shows, documentaries, TV series, everything else. We got a lot of content up there. And of course, you can go to Amazon.com and get my books. I'm a 5-time best-selling author. And you can go to Amazon.com, just type in Billy Carson, all the books will pop up. And of course, on any streaming music platform, just type in Forbidden Knowledge. And you'll find tons of incredible conscious music, conscious hip-hop, meditation tracks, all of that for Forbidden Knowledge on any streaming platform.
Big time.
Billy Carson. Big time. Hey, man.
It's been an honor, man.
Yeah,
a real honor.
Same here.
Thank you.
And I just want to say, shout out to Justin, my son Justin, for turning me on to y'all a decade ago.
Yeah. Hey, after he showed you us, did you question his? Did you question his? Hey, how you come across these guys? I'm gonna keep an eye on you. Yeah.
No, we just died. We just literally rolled on the actual floor for real, laughing. I remember some good times, just sitting there with him, just laughing, man, for, 15, 20 minutes or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good times. Yeah.
All right. Thanks, Billy.
All right, brother.
Yeah.